Enséñame a Vivir Foundation. Walk into the room, we invite you to deliver your business card for the raffle that we'll have at the end of the session of an airplane ticket for the United States. The speakers and the organizing committee are barred from participating in the raffle. Good afternoon. Welcome to the afternoon session of the Panama Supply Chain Forum 2019. Our next speaker has over 15 years experience in industries such as information technology, e-government, transportation, and logistics. He currently is the regional director for Latin America of Crimson Logic with a topic single window network, its importance for easement of trade. Let's welcome Gustavo Davis.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. The previous speaker complained that he was in the middle, in between the presentation and food, now in between food and drowsiness. And given my height, I'm going to move all over the place until I hypnotize you. My name is Gustavo Davis, as I was introduced, and today I'll talk about our link in the supply chain, which is connecting the single windows. In order to talk about single windows, I have to tell you a little bit about our credentials and who we are. Our company started in 1988, basically with the development and implementation of the first single window in the world, which is the one in Singapore. And from there on, we've exported these platforms to different countries. We have over 60 projects, highly complex single window projects in different countries, in different regions. Now, they can't stop me because I knocked over the light system over here. And we're a multicultural company. We have 900 employees only, but it's we have 26 different nationalities. Our main shareholders were initially 4 government entities from Singapore. Now it's only 2. and that's Enterprise Singapore, which is the Trade and Investment Ministry of Commerce in Singapore and PSA. We've done digital facilitation not only in trade but also in judicial and e-government applications, but now we'll focus on facilitating trade. We're mostly in 3 regions. Latin America is divided in 2. We cover Panama very proudly. We use Panama as a hub for Latin America. And from here, our new office in City of Knowledge is where we're developing all the projects for Latin America, which makes us a 99.9% Panamanian company because we have somebody from India helping us out. Okay, a little bit about the projects we've developed in Latin America. The first project that we carried out for e-government was the Electronic Commercial Movement Declaration System in the Colón Free Zone, and proudly I can say we renewed for 5 more years the contract in January this year to upgrade the platform so that the users of the Colón Free Zone may offer their users not only the functionalities we have up to date, but also an e-trade flow for all the marketplaces that want to connect. They can do the government proceedings very quickly, which is good news. So in that sense, we contributed our little grain of sand to the e-trade effort. This next project is the DMC 2.0 that I just talked about it. Then we have the Panama customs system. Those in the local market have spoken about the interface between free zone and customs. That platform is developed, and both authorities are currently in the process of improving the processes, redundant, in order to incorporate risk elements that permeate or allow the flow with the interface is done more automatically. This will allow to decrease data manipulation and avoid discrepancies between the information that the customs offices have and the free zone has. We also have the foreign trade electronic single window. We did one for Chile as well. We did a consultancy for Bolivia to develop their single window. And this project is extremely interesting. It's a single window for the Pacific Alliance. The system consists in connecting point-to-point the 4 windows of the 4 countries for the exchange of health origin certificates and the customs declarations. The peer-to-peer technology is not a cutting-edge technology, but it was done this way in order so as not to centralize the information due to requirements from the Alliance. IDB is sponsoring in the financial side of the project, and they're trying to attract other commercial blocs like Mercosur and SIECA to join this new transaction modality that's been implemented. This is the first project that is actually working between governments and single windows in the world. We have another one in Asia called Asian that is still not at the same level of maturity as this, so I can say proudly that for us Latin Americans that we have implemented this before anybody else. We simulated competitivity to measure time and logistic performance between the Callao and the San Antonio ports in Peru and Chile, respectively. And we're in the middle of implementation of a project for the mail and telegraph in Panama, which should be the part of the government that promotes the delivery of e-commerce in the city. We'll go and talk about this in full later, but the government is at least taking steps to contribute in local logistics. Costa Rica will also carry out analysis so that they join the Alianza del Pacífico, or Pacific Alliance project in Ecuador. We did a port study, our Caribbean stories, another single window. It's a one-stop shop for company registries, the whole chain all the way through exports. The one in Bahamas, not only single window, but also the customs system and also free zone system. In Suriname, design, implementation, support for 10 years, and well, those are our credentials. We know a little bit about single windows. It was just to warm up, for you to wake up. That's the boring part. Now let's talk a little bit about what is a single window and how does this move us to the supply chain concept. The single windows are portals where basically we incorporated in the central point documents for import, export and transshipment, And that's what Panama does as a country, and there's different levels of single windows, where the authority manages to receive documents and then distributes to other operators. The one that's more automated, et cetera, et cetera. There are several models, several flavors of single window. And they can also be described, let's say, in stages of maturity. The one that is simply used in the institution, nobody knows it, is like an internet. The one that interacts with the main agents. Normally, in the supply chain, that would be the ports. The one that integrates other important stakeholders in the economy, or down the chain, that could be the freight forwarders or customs officials. And lastly, the national single window, that's external electronic ring that the broadest one in the country in order to encompass all the foreign trade transactions. That's the highest level of maturity. And these stages lead to the creation or conceptualization of a series of flavors of single window. Single window not necessarily is a foreign trade proceeding, or it could be, in fact, the marketplace is a single window in one way or the other, but different flavors from the port community system, which is a harmonizer of the port community, not only maritime, but also ports in general. There are several flavors of single windows or several uses, and what in all becomes a challenge is that there are multiple systems. They have to organize different data, human errors, standardizing, etc., etc. In technology, this is a constant at the level of the challenges that we want to achieve. So you have the concept of single window mesh, that if we go back into the presentation, we'll see the different flavors of single windows because there are different stakeholders in the supply chain that not necessarily work linearly like the mesh concept would imply, but they act in different dimensions. In that sense, we have to consider that the key components of a single window, of a mesh, or a single window mesh, are driven by automation, data-driven. There has to be a lot of interoperability. The 360 risk management is vital in order to avoid disruptions in the chain, and the chain flows when it does risk assessment beforehand, and that's one of the topics. One of the previous presentation, they talked about the concept of customs. With risk management, could improve. Panama Customs is taking important steps in that direction, and the government in general with the logistics cabinet, which what you need, then we go back to the presentations in the morning, you have to be customer-centered. Even though these are systems that are aimed at the government, they have to be customer-centered, not only to solve institutional problems, it has to be to solve problems for the owner of the cargo, either exporter or importer. I'm certain that the people that I'm translating are having problems with my speed, because as a good Panamanian, we speak very fast. Another one of the technologies that are added on in order to be able to achieve this multidimensionality of the single window for the use of information are many of the elements that we already discussed or have been discussed in the morning. Blockchain, machine learning, artificial intelligence, deep learning, among others, that are fully necessary in order to be able to take this singular conception of a three-dimension mesh for the exchange of information and stakeholders through the different profiles. So if we have a single window mesh and we apply it, we could talk about something, a concept that may be called smart supply chain. In order to go into the topic that brings us here today, we can see that there are different stakeholders, that's normal, of different types. There are many transmission points. That is also part of what is expected when you have so many stakeholders. You have different types of roles or responsibilities that group the stakeholders. The commerce, the government, and logistics in terms of cargo and transportation, and what we know as lack of trust, not because we don't believe the other one's information, because also always doubt of legitimacy, whether the data's been manipulated or others. So these are factors that make the multidimensionality of the windows is somewhat complex. Then if we look at this at the level of nodes, we have the commerce node, the financial node, which is the one that makes the money flow. We have the window node or the government node, and then the logistics or the cargo or added value, which are the two C2Cs, CB2C, C2G, and B2G, and well, there's so many amounts. I think this is the way that we group all the involved parties, and another way to see this a little bit more in depth is what are the documents, as an example, that would trigger these windows to carry out the transactions. The first one, it would be an invoice, then the second one, the payment slip, the payment voucher, the third one, the declaration, and the last one, the cargo manifest. Each one of these are documents with different structures, different amount of fields, data that evidently cannot be correlated, which makes this a little bit more complex to organize. So that's where we have to support ourselves a little bit on technology and all the new technologies out there. So let's recall that this is the environment, that these are the nodes, and if we apply a little bit of technology, in this case, I'll give you a single example, which is the Open Trade blockchain, which is a blockchain technology that's proprietary of ours. You establish this so you can link and you can show the document integrity and information integrity when you carry out a transaction with multiple stakeholders and multiple transmission points. As you can see in the golden side where it says cargo manifest, I'm using an M. Instead of PCS, I'm using MCS. I'm putting a multimodal community system instead of port community system. That's MCS. The way this information can be harmonized or correlated is by using another technological concept, which is the smart contracts, which would allow us to do what I haven't heard today, which is the governance concept between the type or category or roles or parts that work in the supply chain, which is important that they coexist and that links understand each other. So, a system, with the previous example of the smart supply chain, we applied this at an even deeper level. How can we make a multimodal community system work with the previous explanation? Well, in the globalized world that is ultra-connected, doesn't just have a supply chain, it has an amount of supplies that interact. A pair of shoes, just to give you a very simple example, we could think that at the time that the final product is delivered, it easily could have two systems that are combined. One is the shoes and the other one is the shoebox, and there's a supply chains that have to interact. And if we create a node between supply chain A that interacts with it, and you create a multimodal community system, and you integrate this into a node, you could have a master node that is not, well, it's not exactly in the middle, but it's just to illustrate, but you conjugate the harmonization of each one of these supply chains in order to see this in a broader, more global concept. This is if you apply some blockchain, it will be repeating at a deeper level or a higher level. Now, the use of technology, then you have a reloaded supply chain. So, now going to the end, how does the supply chain look graphically? It's the typical chain or the representation of a typical supply chain. But many other chains of the same product for the delivery of product coexist. And at the end of the day, they have to act linearly and by categories. And that's why it's called a mesh. It's a 3D mesh, but a PowerPoint 3D presentation is complicated. But that's a concept, that we can no longer simply think that they're linear. We cannot think that they are linear in different categories. Therefore, we have to apply different technologies, eliminate certain paradigms, and do more innovative things. In that regard, there is a platform which is a real product, a real service that our company is working on along with our partner PCA, which is the Singapore container port operator called Calista, which means cargo logistics inventory streamlining trade aggregation. I had to write Calista and I had to write it down because it's hard to remember, but basically it's the link or the union or harmonization, to be more correct, the harmonization of the services by adding the finance and insurance component, which is part of the supply chain, and compliance, which is the government side. To harmonize this, we introduced a point-to-point service where we use some technologies like open architecture to give room for other platforms to connect. And this is a platform that exists, and that's a multimodal commodity system that allows us to go into the future of the single window mesh. And to end, an interesting note is that our company, through its proprietary blockchain platform, has proposed to the government of Panama to carry out the first government blockchain project, which is for the issuing of re-export certificates, not only because it supports the concept of the use of technology and the way to verify the documentary integrity, at least when you're reporting goods, because likewise in all the FATF lists, one of the points that is more relevant and is mentioned the most is the free zones, because it's used for terrorism financing and money laundering, and what we need is that the free zone, the special economic zones, can show more visibility to the country's customs so that the customs can fulfill the responsibilities of issuing and certifying that the cargo that has gone through the country, that it meets all the entry, transshipment and exit processes. So this blockchain concept, under this blockchain concept, we're already starting the pilot to present it at least to two competent authorities, which is Free Zone and Customs, where the source documents used within the Colón Free Zone must be uploaded so that Customs may verify the documentary integrity of the information and can responsibly issue the certificate. This would allow the country of destination to certify the determination or the source of the goods, the origin of the goods, and apply the tax benefits, if there's any, and with security and transparency. This would put Panama in a very different position in the supply chain and would position us in the step we deserve as a hub for cargo and logistics, as we are. And with this, the story will be continued. Thank you. Our next guest has over 25 years experience in supply chain strategies, operations, inventory management, planning. She is the CEO of Actus Technology. She'll talk about global and strategic visibility of the supply chain. Let's welcome Jamie Forrest. Muchas gracias. Es bueno estar de vuelta en Panamá. Han pasado algunos años desde que vine la última vez. Empecé a venir a Panamá en el 2009 y conocí a una persona aquí con la que me iba a reunir. Hablamos sobre que Estados Unidos es la tierra de las oportunidades.
I was coming to Panama and able to put together the Georgia Tech Panama Center. I'm a founder of the organization. And I remember my first meeting was with the Payday, the Executive Association. They introduced me to somebody in Cologne, so I went and I met with someone in Cologne, and they sent me back to Panama City. So I got my first glimpse of making that transaction between the two ends of the canal, and learned and met a lot of different contacts. This will be the third administration that I've been working with over the last several years. So again, I find it a very warm and welcoming country, and I appreciate it. It's good to see some old friends and to be back in Panama. So thank you to the organizers and the organizing committee that invited me to come speak to you today about control towers. I am an educator, I'm an industrial engineer from Georgia Tech. I was research faculty there for 6 years in supply chain and logistics and managed their institute. So forgive me if it's a little bit technical and forgive me if it's a little bit educational, but Demo said, hey, why don't you pretend that nobody knows anything about control towers and kind of start from the basics. So this is Control Towers for Dummies 101, and I apologize if you feel like I'm talking down to any of you that know much more about it. So wanted to, I'm getting my bearings here, I'm going to use a pointer as well. I wanted to tell you a little bit about Active. I'm the president and CEO of Active Technologies. We're based in Atlanta, Georgia. We have a platform called Activate, and Activate is a multi-enterprise platform as a service solution that's made for real-time supply chain management. We are a true native cloud application. We've been up and running since June of 2012, so this is not new for us. A lot of the newer cloud technologies that are out there have not been running so long. We were originally built for Caterpillar and its suppliers. Caterpillar sends 16 different forecasts every day to their suppliers. And so as a supplier trying to manage forecast inventory, available to promise, delivery dates, it's almost impossible to do that without some kind of automated platform. Our suppliers are actually integrated, Caterpillar suppliers are actually integrated to their suppliers, so we truly are a multi-tiered, multi-tenant, multi-enterprise platform, which I think you'll find there are not many out there that have that layer of integrating forecasts all the way down to the suppliers. Again, that application has been running for many years now. And now we've moved on to more sophisticated models, which we'll talk about today. I want to briefly mention we were just named by CIO Review as the top 20 most promising supply chain solution companies for 2019. The reason I bring it up is CIO implies data. And we're going to spend a lot of time talking about data and taking data and how we turn data into information. And really, without data being information, we just have too much of it, right? So we'll spend a little bit of time talking about what are the challenges today with your supply chains, and are you outdated? Are you falling behind? How do I know if I need to digitize and transform my supply chain? How do I know if I need to modernize my technologies? Couple of things. If you answer yes to any of these, then you're falling behind. The first one really is, are your customers asking for service options that you can't provide? Are they moving further and further ahead of you? We heard from Dr. Esper from Ohio State this morning. He was talking about all the implications of becoming a customer-centric supply chain and all the pressures. Delivery to promise is coming back, whether we like it or not. And all of that pressure of delivering our shipments and our goods and having the inventory in the right place is real. The second one is manual procedures and processes. If you're doing anything with a paper trail through your organization, it needs to be automated. The day and time of keeping track of all that we're doing in global and e-commerce and omni-channel platforms cannot be done with paper trails. So it's time to modernize your technology if you're in that situation. The third is siloed systems, and we've touched on this a few times today. I want to just set kind of a groundwork. There's really 3 layers to supply chain operations. The first is your physical flow. So your physical supply chain itself. On top of that, you have an information flow. And on top of that, you have your order to cash cycle and your financial flow. What we do today is we put our physical supply chains in one system, and we put our order to cash cycle in another system, and we put our information flows in the third system. And usually those information flows are in 4 or 5 different systems. Maybe even in a spreadsheet, maybe over here it's a portal, but none of it's integrated and brought together. How can I get one single view, or what we call synchronization, of me and synchronization of my trading partners, synchronization of my inbound supply, and synchronization of my outbound distribution? All of this is siloed systems, and they all need to be brought together in one platform. And the last one is really important. We tend to report historical views. We tend to say, oh, here's how I did last month, or here's what I did over the last 6 months, and therefore here's what's going to happen. What we need to be doing is we need to be bringing all of this into real-time management, so that we can say, here's what's going to happen next week. Here's what I need to worry about in the next 30 days. Here's what my demand looks like. How do I balance demand to supply? So one of the things I wanted to point out is these struggles are real. Gartner just had a recent study with 170 different companies, and they said, hey, what are your biggest obstacles to making supply chain improvements in your organization? And I just want to circle a couple of these. Forecast accuracy, demand variability. We all deal with it. If we had a crystal ball out there, we would be much better logisticians. But the second one really is the applications and the technologies. We're struggling internally that we don't have the right technology. The third area is really focused on the lack of reliability of communicating that visibility, the single view, and it's not just internally in our own organizations, but then you extend it out to the external supply chains participants, and it becomes a much larger problem. And really, the last one I want to focus on here is the difficulties in orchestrating and synchronizing those supply chains. We just talked about synchronization as getting that same physical view, information view, and financial flows all in one view, one operation, so that I can manage it as a single instance. And then you extract that out to your trading partners, whether it's inbound supply or outbound distribution. All of that needs to be orchestrated and synchronized together. So today's challenge, what really is our challenge? Our challenge today is that we need to modernize our supply chains. We lack a solid foundation within our organizations. We either don't have the structure, the discipline, or the technology. And a lot of companies that I talk to today, they say, hey, we really know that we need to digitize and transform, but we don't know where to start. What kind of data do I need in order to have this successful? And so getting a roadmap of where you're going is important. And as we build through the layers of a control tower today, it's a very good indicator of what that roadmap should look like. We also are drowning in data. I've already mentioned we have a lot of data sources. There's more data out there. But is it really information for us, and what do I do with it? Existing legacy and enterprise solutions are not effective. They have to focus on integration. You have to have your trading partners integrated. You have to have your internal organizations integrated. You have to have your P&Ls integrated. All of this needs to be one single view. And to do that, if we bring integration together, it brings visibility. We also have multiple sources and multiple locations. We've all some of you have grown through SAP implementations. I think the last time I checked, Coca-Cola had 32 different instances of SAP within their organization. That is not one single view of the data. And it makes it really tough when you're trying to do supply chain management in real time, when you have all these different applications and versions. And we have customers on Oracle where they have different instances of Oracle, or we have one customer right now within one facility has 3 different warehouse management systems. How are you going to provide inventory visibility to your customer when you're in a situation that your WMS can't even audit itself and allocate the right amount of inventory to the order? So these are all big challenges. So one of the solutions is to digitize your supply chain. Going through a digital transformation, we've heard a lot about that today, but transforming the data, automating the processes, sense, coordinate, and manage. And as we had heard from our LLamasoft friends earlier, optimizing end-to-end supply chain. I put that in parentheses because you can run control towers and manage control towers without it being true optimization. I come from a mixed integer programming background at Georgia Tech. That's one of the things that they focused on in our industrial engineering, is getting into optimization. You can run control towers in real time without pulling in the optimization functionality. It's even better if you can leverage all the integration and the data and the visibility that you have in your control tower, send it to the planning applications, and then feeding that information in those scenarios helps to improve your predictive analytics and improve your machine learning. And that's probably for another day. So best-in-class supply chains, what do they really look like? We've talked about their informational, their transparency with a single view. They bring clarity of constraints. I can see that I'm running out of inventory. I can see my shipments are late. I can see the demand variability within my omni-channel fulfillment. And it gives me the ability to manage and solve issues. If I just can see it all, it's called supply chain visibility. If I can manage it and solve it, it's control tower. And there is a difference. They're not the same thing. Automating processes and benchmarking performance. Now I have accurate information for current KPIs, not taking a look that says, oh, last year our on time and in full looked like this. How about your on time and in full today? We just worked with a third-party logistics company where we're bringing all of that dashboard information into real time, so every minute that the chief operating officer logs into the system, they know exactly how many shipments they got out, what the on-time and full is, what their performance is, which line do I need to go out and kick a little butt that says, hey, you're moving too slow today. All of that information becomes really important and changes the way that you look at performance and benchmarking. And then lastly, I want to add, and I don't believe a lot of supply chains do this well, but there's analyzing and predicting. So we have the ability now, if it's in real time and you have your information, your systems integrated, we have the ability to not only analyze that information, but predict what's going to happen shortly. So let's talk about, I'm sorry, this is a little sticky. Let's talk about what is a control tower. So if we had to break it apart and define it, what is a control tower? The first thing it does is it connects multiple parties into the same network. So you can't have part of your Latin American operations over here and your Panama customs and freight forwarding over here, and then your shipment status from DHL or UPS or FedEx over there. Those are not connected all in the same partner network. It provides real-time data regarding several things. 1, regarding supply. 2, regarding demand. 3, regarding the inventory. And lastly, regarding the logistics functions. Now, you can have portions of this. You could have supply and logistics. You could have demand and inventory. If you're a manufacturer and you're just focusing on controlling your inbound, for instance. But those are the data components that need to be included that you're trying to manage. We bring transparency for clear visibility. And in addition to that visibility, though, I need to be able to rely on that visibility to make better decisions. If I'm not making decisions, I'm not managing. If I'm not managing, I'm not controlling. And if I'm just looking, that's visibility, that is not control. So the last piece of the control tower is really, does it drive predictive behaviors? Does it give me what I need to do corrective actions? Can I solve problems in the supply chain? And that is what a control tower is designed to do. So characteristics of the control tower. Number 1, it must be agile. You've heard that a few times up here. In technology, we look at agile development. And agile development means that we do technology development in little sprints. Well, we also do that when we're implementing control towers. So for instance, we onboarded 1,200 suppliers for Caterpillar overnight. Now, that is a whole feat of an integration platform. But when we do these implementations, after you have that integration completed, it's how quickly am I pacing to create value out of this technology. So what we tend to do in our implementations is we bring up order visibility within 2 weeks because we're not custom coding anything anymore. We've been working on this control tower and this application environment for 7 years now. So we don't have a lot of custom development that has to be done. It's really more just configuration. So we're configuring your dashboards and configuring the reporting. So the first piece is in 2 weeks, I want to see the orders. Within 4 weeks, we give you order management to where I actually do something with the orders. Within 6 weeks, we can bring the inventory visibility into that. Within 8 weeks, we're at inventory management and so on. What we do is agile And that brings value to the application quickly. We already talked about the rapid connectivity, the single repository, and the single view, the truth of what's actually going on. I want to talk a little bit about data translation, normalization, and extension, because I think this is important, and I think data normalization is very difficult to do. And a lot of systems and technology and a lot of internal hybrid models forget about the data normalization. So I'm going to explain. Data translation is I take an EDI message into an application and I might send an SAP IDOC out, right? So I'm translating the format of that file. That's translation. Data normalization opens up that information that's in that file and makes it smart data. And it says, hey, this customer calls this SKU XYZ. And when it's at the manufacturing facility, they're calling it 123. All of that data translation of making you keep everything in your language, your SKU numbers, your descriptions in your own environment, but I'm going to translate that into what we call a canonical format that gives me a way to normalize that data. So you don't have to worry about making all those translations with all the different trading partners. All 1,200 suppliers to Caterpillar kept their own SKU number. Caterpillar kept their own SKU number. We provide that normalization in the middle, and that is really, really kind of the secret sauce of being able to bring these platforms up quickly, because I don't have to go through a cataloging exercise. Has anybody in here heard of a company called Liaison Technologies? They just got bought by OpenText. So Liaison does the mapping. You still need to map because, as we know, an 830 from one company may look like a different 830 from another. There's a different field or different description or whatever. But Liaison Technologies is a mapping company, and they're another software company. They actually sit on top of our platform. So what we do for them is once the data has been normalized, we do what's called data extension. So data extension is taking that normalized data so that it can talk to another system in that system's language, and we extend it back into SAP or extend it back into a WMS. Or maybe we need to send an updated status information into a TMS, or we're taking information in from a legacy system where it can still talk in its language. So that's the difference between data translation, I'm passing one format, transverting it into a different format. I'm really just passing along. I don't open the file. I do nothing with the data. Normalization, I'm changing that data into a way that everybody can talk to each other. And then data extension is how do I put it back where it needs to go or passing it to the right systems. And then automating end-to-end supply chain is really a characteristic of the control tower. If you're not automating anything throughout the supply chain, and that means where there's rules set up that knows, hey, if I see this within my supply chain, here's what I'm going to do about it. You know, no paper trail, no trying to find the documentation, the manifest is lost, none of that. It's automated. So I know and can see, hey, this is late. This is caught in customs. I'm going to send an alert and a notification out to the right person. And that gives me the ability to facilitate and identify the exceptions. I can figure out what's going on quickly, what is it I need to worry about. So we go back to our Caterpillar example, and those 1,200 suppliers, and they send 16 forecasts in one day. How do I know what needs to happen today? So Caterpillar, what they do is they'll send an information that says, hey, we send these little dashboards out to the supplier that says, hey, don't send 75 units tomorrow. Wait and send 90 units on Monday. And on Tuesday, you're going to change this part number to this part number. Now, as an inventory planner, I only have to worry about what changed. So that's what I mean by data normalization is we're opening up that information from all that messaging, and we make an allocation against what has changed in the data from 10 minutes ago or 5 minutes ago or whenever they sent their last update, and just send out to the individual trading partner network just what they need to worry about. And that becomes real-time supply chain management. And if you are not operating in real time, it's not a control tower, it's visibility. So true real time, you must integrate, you must normalize the data, you must provide that layer of real time in order to facilitate and manage what's happening within the supply chain. So let's talk about the benefits, and then I'm going to go into an example of how you build it up from a technology standpoint. Benefits of a control tower are you do get that single version of the truth. You'll see significant operating improvements. I actually can achieve end-to-end visibility for a change. You don't have these black holes looking for freight or trying to find documentation. I'm synchronizing trading partners. Again, I'm synchronizing the physical with the information, with the financial flow. And we heard this earlier today. Logistics and what we do in supply chain is about time and it's about cost. And that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to reduce costs and we're looking to reduce cycle time. And then it gives us the ability to be more agile. We have all these market changes coming at us. We have all these customer demands. We're changing and modifying our supply chains into more customer-centric. And this gives us the ability to adapt quickly to the market changes and the customer needs. For instance, somebody mentioned earlier today about a hurricane coming. Well, I may need to redirect that freight. I don't want to let that freight continue to flow right into a disaster. It's not going to be received. It's going to sit there. I'm going to have an inventory that builds up, so react to it. And then lastly, improving the performance metrics. And those performance metrics are still the same ones that you looked at before. What am I doing from an on-time or in-full basis, et cetera. Okay, so let's talk about the benefit financially or the value. What I've provided here is I've got my little pointer if I can get it working. I'm going to have to move to do it. Well, on the left-hand side of the screen is a very, what I would say, aggressive, opportunistic view of the value that a control tower can create. I mean, these are some pretty high numbers. 90% reduction in shortage and stockouts. Although I have seen it, and I do believe it to be true. I just think in general, if we're looking at averages from some of these research scenarios that were done, it's probably a little aggressive. 75% reduction in expediting costs. That's reducing your transportation costs. Over 100 increase in inventory turns, 100 increase in on-time shipments. And then on the right-hand side is a very conservative view. I think these are a little low. So what I would suggest is that the value of these control towers is somewhere in the middle between these two views. And these are independent research that was done. I don't know how many of you know Genpact, but that's Barkaway Consulting. They got bought. They formed a group with GE, and they created this Genpact group. So on-time delivery, even if you got some of these lower statistics, these are significant. You multiply that across how many shipments you're doing in a day, and it really quickly adds up that it makes a lot of sense to do something like this. Application areas of control towers. So now let's talk about kind of the layers. I kind of summarized it all in this one slide, and then we'll break it out again and build up our control tower. So the first layer is the integration of the participants. Or if I have disparate systems within my organization, you want to drop in an integration platform, connect everything together. And you have to start with the basis of having kind of one view of that data, single repository or single system of record. Then you add your data processing platform layer. That's where I'm going to cleanse. I don't want bad data in. I'm going to cleanse the data. I want to translate it. I want to normalize it. And then I'm going to do my extension through that same processing layer. You need a portal. I've got to be able to see it. My external trading partners need to be able to see it. Maybe I have a contact or a call center that needs to log into the same information, or a customer service center. So there needs to be some type of portal. And then I'm bringing visibility. When I have integration, single view, data processing, and a portal, now I have visibility. And with visibility, we look at 3 different types of visibility. We look at orders, we look at inventory, and we look at shipments. You can have a control tower that is just a portion of that. Maybe it's just shipments. Maybe I just want to see shipment status, and I'm just going to control the shipments where I'm not going to do anything to move inventory around, and I'm not going to do anything to change the orders. But we are seeing more and more companies moving to just doing all 3 at the same time. And then we have this platform now for a smart hub where I can truly synchronize my supply chain. And it gives me the ability to manage and control So now I have exception management. So all of this together is a control tower. And you need all of these pieces. There are more. There are other opportunities to put in more supply chain functionality, to put in more planning functionality. But at a minimum, this is really what a control tower needs. This little control tower example here, and I'm sorry I can't point, but you can see there's 2 alert statuses that have been provided, and I don't know if you can see, but there's a red dot in Panama and a red dot down in Chile, and this is saying, hey, I'm short inventory. So I'm viewing my demand, I'm looking at my inbound supply, and it's saying, hey, I got a problem. I need to move some inventory. So from the same screen, I can create a new inventory, I can create an advanced shipment notice, I can allocate inventory to a different location. And the same thing true here for shipment delays. Actually, that error status says carrier reject the order. Not a good day, right? But at least I've been brought attention in real time immediately, and I know that the load wasn't accepted and I can do something about it. So let's talk about how we do this from a technical standpoint. So you start with your physical layer. That's the bottom layer of the supply chain. I might have my WMS connected to my manufacturer because they're sending me advanced shipment notices that say, hey, this inventory is on the way to you, that I'm going to do something to it and distribute it. So down at the bottom layer is the physical connection of those individual supply chain partners. Through that, I need an integration layer because I need everybody to be able to talk to each other. I need to pass different data formats, whether it's an IDOC or X12 or XML, doesn't matter. We don't care. We're diagnostic to all the formats. And also the data transports. So all of that is in the integration layer. And in that integration layer, I'm cleansing, translating, doing data extension. We have filters that from a business rules and a business logic, we may not let data in. We may say, hey, that's not going to meet the requirements of our SAP order. It doesn't meet the fulfillment window of when I actually need that product. So why clog up my system worrying about that order needs to go back and go on hold, and somebody can address the fact that that's not a good order for us. So all of that is kind of done in this integration layer. And you have to talk to the systems through APIs. So some legacy systems usually need some type of API to be built and created in order to do that. The good platforms that make integration easy and easy to connect to have their own API. And then when I have that, when I have my physical supply chain integrated together and I have API or some type of data transport mechanism, now I can have real-time data access. And then on top of that, we build that layer of visibility. Now I can see my forecasts, I can see my orders. The top half of that visibility, forecasts and orders together, gives you available to promise. The bottom half of that visibility, inventories and shipments, gives us delivery to promise. Delivery to promise was around, I used to be head of business development during the whole Bond SAP PeopleSoft race, and I think that was late 90s. We used to talk about delivery to promise, and it just kind of all went away. Well, guess what? Everything's about second day shipping, first day shipping, meeting my time window, delivering this by 8 a.m. Delivery to promise is back, whether we like it or not. And what we need to worry about is, do I have inventory? Is it moving? Is my shipment going to be on time? Are my transportation providers within that scheduled window? So I think you're going to start hearing more and more of that term coming back. And then we have our synchronization layer. Now that I can see it all, I can manage it and I can control it. So that synchronization layer of bringing physical, information, and financial all together gives us this traditional supply chain application area: sales and operations planning, distributed order management, inventory management, transportation management. That's that layer in there that after I have integration and I have visibility, now I can have this supply chain operating application layer to my control tower. And the control tower now brings together the alerts and the notifications. It brings together the dashboards. It brings together reporting. It brings together any of the analytics, and now we're using machine learning. Machine learning can be at lots of different layers. We use machine learning in even cleansing data or putting data in. Like if we've seen a purchase order go through before with a description and a SKU number and it's missing maybe a quality detail or something, we can populate that into the field. So we've built tools and tricks to help cleanse. And machine learning is not just at the process layer, it can also be used for the data layer. And then you have your customer service, and that's that little wheel going all the way around going, oh, what's going on today? What do I need to worry about? A call center, a contact center. And so all of this together really is a control tower. From a technical standpoint, that's how the layers are built. That's a roadmap to start. Start by connecting disparate systems. Start by integrating your important messages, your trading partners. Start with your pain points. What is causing me money because I'm having to spend a lot of manual labor on it? What is keeping me from scaling? What do I have to do that has to add more people in order to scale? Those are typically good areas to start applying technology. Shipment visibility and control. I just want to give you quick examples here. It can be anything from bills of lading, advanced shipment notice, carrier status. We've talked about we just heard from Crimson Logic, it could be compliance documents, it could be customs forms, but it gives me the ability to predict. So the little dashboard at the top, the first red button is an ocean shipment and it's running late, so it's putting me on alert. I need to call my drayage company and say, hey, you're probably not going to be picking this up today. We're going to be moving it probably XYZ. And so forth. Or you've got shipment performance information down here at the bottom. And then focusing on the right-hand side, really just looking at the benefits. Giving me any kind of alert for what I need to manage, any kind of alert for communicating to whether it's my customers or my suppliers, and really providing that fast and accurate response time ultimately gives us better customer service. Order and inventory visibility and control. I just want to tell you a quick story. A good friend of mine has had a logistics strategy for Nike. Actually, he's worked for me over the years for a few times. And the HP mentioned earlier today that they're doing the RFID tags. Well, Nike's got a project where they're, if you can imagine, going to put an RFID chip in every single tag. So every shirt that you buy that says Nike, every pair of shoes, etc. And I'm working with them because they have 73 different distribution centers right now. 60 of those are to outsource providers. So they only control 13 of them, and they can't see their inventory. They have no visibility to what they're actually doing. And the way Nike runs is you push the inventory through the system. Every 6 months, there's new shoes coming, whether you like it or not, because they're already being manufactured in Asia and they're on their way. And so they tend to really look at inventory closely and inventory visibility because it's tied to a price. The value of that shoe is dropping from the time it comes through Panama on a container. It has a certain value, but by the time it's sold in the store. And if you can imagine wandering around in a store in the mall in the United States and having millennials on their phone actually ordering something from Nike.com, how do you manage your inventory? Are they going to pick it up in the store? Are they going to go ahead and have it shipped to their house, even though they just picked it up and saw it in the store? So all that omni-channel e-commerce business that's going on is really affecting how we manage supply chains. So the first layer is really getting visibility to it. And I see I'm getting ready to get kicked off, so I want to quickly get to... I'm not going to have time to talk about distributed order management, but it can be a part of your control tower or not. But if you are doing any kind of omni-channel commerce or omni-channel fulfillment, you need distributed order management. The traditional ERP systems do not handle it well. We're doing a lot of connecting and bringing that capability together for those particular types of software applications. I'm not going to have time to talk about this briefly, but this is similar to a blockchain application. Traceability, maybe your control tower is just parts for a manufacturer. This is in aerospace and defense, it's very highly regulated. And we're using single barcodes. So we actually ship the barcodes out to the supplier. That barcode is labeled for the end customer. So when you do that, you're turning your warehousing into cross docks. So we end up, instead of having to receive the inventory, put it away, go back and pick it for the order, package it, ship it, it's all ready to go. It's ready to go on to my outbound distribution customer. And this is saving a lot of operational savings. So last slide, little risk, big reward. These things can be done fast now. They're low cost to get into. It is not a big IT project or big IT implementation cost if you use some of the cloud platforms that are available. We've talked about most of these benefits. Overall, at the end of the day, we're really trying to improve our service with much lower cost structure. And with that, you've got my contact information if you'd like to learn more or if I can answer any other questions. And thank you. I appreciate your attention today. And I appreciate being invited. Thank you.
Bueno, llegó el momento de conocer las últimas tendencias en omnicanalidad. Nos acompaña el CEO de Alco Consulting, el ingeniero Elías Altalev. Vamos a recibirlo con un fuerte aplauso.
No, está lista. Está corriendo. Sí. Ok, mientras corre el video que vamos a empezar, mi nombre es Elías Altalev, soy CEO de Alco Consulting y vengo a hablarles de todo lo que es la omnicanalidad y cómo la tendencia dentro del mercado está obligando a las empresas a llegar a estos niveles altos a nivel de omnicanalidad. En un minutito arrancamos. Okay.
Are you ready for this? Because this is...
Están listos para esto porque esto es más grande. Están listos para ella, para él o él. Para ellos o para mí. Todos nosotros queremos nuestra cosa allí mismo. Todos queremos que sea mágico. Queremos que estén listos. Miren esta gente. No me gusta nada. Tarde, la demanda es rápida, 24 horas, 7.
It's gonna catch it up right now. And why am I telling you? You're the responder, the filler, the deliverer, the matchmaker, the middleman, the delivery guy or gal, manufacturer, the wholesaler, the retailer. You're the hero in the white hat. Maybe not the hat, but you could get somebody a white hat, right? I mean, that's what you do. See, your job is more than just point A to point B. You're A to B, C to F to J. That's global commerce, man. Massively complex. It's the great inventory shuffle, baby. Driving revenues like never before. Call centers, online, in stores, doing whatever it takes to get me my stuff. Ooh, it's a demand and deliver world, brother. I demand and you deliver. So allow me to repeat the question. Are you ready?
Ok, ¿estamos listos o no estamos listos? ¿Podemos nosotros manejar hoy por hoy una tendencia omnicanal alrededor de nuestras empresas? Eso es lo que nos vamos a preguntar cada uno de nosotros, o lo que se deben preguntar cada uno de los gerentes de empresas de hoy en adelante. ¿Ok? Sabemos qué es la omnicanalidad. La omnicanalidad es la capacidad de poner todo nuestro inventario a disposición a través de todos nuestros canales que son posibles integrarlos bajo una cadena de suministro. ¿Ok? Hablamos de hoy por hoy. Ok, vamos a hablar un poquito de estadísticas de lo que es la omnicanalidad. ¿Verdad? Un 91% de los clientes de empresas omnicanales regresan. La omnicanalidad de vuelta es la capacidad de integrar todos nuestros mercados para un 71% de ese 91 utiliza teléfonos celulares para hacer un engagement o para hacer una compra a través de la omnicanalidad, una compra omnicanal. Hay estudios que dicen que una persona promedio utiliza cada 8 minutos mira su smartphone. ¿Okay? Si contamos esos en 18 horas útiles del día, significan 160 y pico de ventas, oportunidades de venta para una empresa omnicanal. ¿Okay? Entonces, la tendencia y la fuerza de una tecnología omnicanal hoy por hoy es algo que va a determinar todo el éxito de una empresa el día de mañana. De esos 45%, ese 91%, espera que el vendedor de la tienda sepa de sus productos online, ¿ok? Para poder tener esa disponibilidad y ese conocimiento del inventario a la hora de enfrentarse con un cliente. Y un 85% de esos 91% verifica antes online de ir a la tienda, ¿ok? Entonces, la fuerza de la información hoy por hoy es algo que determina todo lo que podríamos hacer nosotros con la omnicanalidad. ¿Ok? ¿Qué es lo que yo requiero para hacer una empresa omnicanal? ¿Verdad? A nivel de tecnología, a nivel de procesos, a nivel de estrategias. ¿Ok? Aquí les voy a presentar un video de un ejemplo omnicanal para que después veamos a detalle de qué es lo que yo requiero para ser omnicanal.
Hey, you got a minute? For you? Always. I mean, we're not a
Tiene un minuto para ti siempre. No somos minoristas, pero lo que me pregunto es cómo manejan ustedes esta intersección entre cadena de suministro y comercio. Usamos las soluciones de cadena de suministro de Manhattan por años, pero hace un par de años empezaron a hablar acerca de nuestras soluciones de cadena de comercio. Nunca hubiéramos pensado que una cadena de suministro podría ayudarnos a construir una relación más íntima con los clientes. Oh, esa es una llamada del cliente. Buenas tardes, ¿me puedo ayudar? Sí, espero. Acabo de poner un pedido en su sitio. No solamente se me olvidó pedirlo en entrega expedita para el cumpleaños de mi esposa, sino que me equivoqué de tamaño también. No hay ningún problema. Me da su dirección de correo electrónico para encontrar ese pedido de BigDaddy99gmail.com. Ah, lo tengo. Parece que tenemos un pedido de 3 líneas aquí y de hecho es la falda donde me equivoqué en el tamaño. Ok. Puedo ver que 2 de las líneas vienen de nuestro centro de distribución. Parece que eso ya las empacaron. Pero todavía puedo cambiarlo para entrega a las 24 horas para que llegue a tiempo. ¿Y qué pasa con la falda? ¿El tamaño importa? Sí, puedo ver que la falda se la mandó de la tienda al lado de su casa. Vamos a cambiar eso también para entrega al día siguiente para que el sistema automáticamente encuentre la ubicación, posiblemente una tienda en la costa este donde que sea antes de la hora de recoger UPS. ¿Puedo buscar en la tienda esta noche mejor para poder verificar el tamaño personalmente? No hay problema. Va a recibir el correo electrónico entre una hora confirmando de que el artículo está listo para recoger. Ah, fantástico. Otra pregunta. ¿Por qué siempre se quedan sin suéteres de cachemira en los feriados? Buena pregunta. La demanda de esa categoría el año pasado fue más alta de lo que fue en el pasado. En este caso, el sistema encontró una tendencia y de hecho parece que tenemos un gran pedido de esos chalecos para esta temporada y las tiendas en su área van a recibir más inventario debido a la demanda. Y va a haber un transbordo en el puerto de Long Beach y después van a cruzar el país con las cargas. Okay.
Glad we could help you today. Okay, talk about your customer intimacy. But you know what? That call was a great example of the commerce chain and supply chain applications working hand in hand. And as we like to say around here, every order has a face, and we don't like orders with long faces. In many cases, it's not that we don't know what to do, it just takes us too long. The Manhattan platform really helps us speed up the process, lets us experiment with new things. You get the idea.
Yeah, we used to carry goods to the customer, but now we interact directly with the customer and then seek out what she's looking for within our network.
Exactly. Seeking isn't about a Google search. It's about having our data organized and synchronized across order management, the store, the warehouse, transportation, and the upstream planning systems. And we found that this level of responsiveness has helped us deepen our relationships with our customers. Well, let's take another example. Think about something like integration between order management and inventory optimization.
No biggie. Just flow the orders down and the inventory back up once a day, and we're good.
Well, that's how it used to be. But now, what happens when order management calls an audible so we can do the right thing for our customer? Order management has to tell inventory optimization about that audible so it can improve its next planning cycle.
Listen, this has been a big help. Thanks.
No problem.
¿Entendieron el video? Entendimos lo que es una estrategia omnicanal. ¿Ok? Entonces, ¿qué tenemos que hacer nosotros para convertirnos omnicanales? Primero, identificar nuestros mercados. Y nuestros canales, disculpen. Identificar nuestros canales. Distribución masiva, online, un marketplace, mi tienda. Mi tienda como tal es un canal. Porque con esta tecnología nosotros en centros de distribución. ¿Ok? Visualizar la cadena de suministro de A a Z. ¿Ok? Hay un dicho que se dice en inglés, if you can see it, you can sell it. Si no lo ves, no lo podemos vender. Tener esa visibilidad de nuestro inventario a lo largo y ancho de la cadena de suministro es clave para esto. Porque yo debo poder vender desde mis proveedores. Una empresa omnicanal puede vender desde un proveedor. Ah, yo llego y quiero comprar un televisor. No tengo ahorita en sitio, pero ¿sabes qué? Si yo te hago un pedido a mi proveedor, que el cliente no lo debe saber, pero yo te lo puedo entregar en 2 días. ¿Ok? Esas son las tecnologías, los requisitos que requeremos para tener omnicanalidad. Inventarios exactos. Yo voy a poder manejar inventarios exactos a nivel de toda mi cadena de suministro, en mis centros de distribuciones, en mis tiendas, en mis operadores logísticos. Porque si yo estoy publicando mi inventario de esa forma, no hay peor experiencia que pedir algo online y que te llegue algo equivocado. Ese cliente no regresa más nunca. ¿Ok? Entonces, si yo quiero poder retener ese 91% de mis clientes, yo tengo que tener un control al 100% de mi inventario, ¿verdad? Preparar todos mis procesos logísticos y alinearlos con los procesos comerciales. De nada me sirve a mí tener una orientación logística de un tipo cuando no me entiendo comercialmente con la parte comercial de la empresa. ¿Ok? No tiene sentido que yo decida despachar 10.000 órdenes al día, pero necesito despachar 20.000, por dar un número. ¿Ok? Hasta aquí, ¿alguna pregunta, alguna consulta o estamos bien? Los beneficios de manejar una estrategia de omnicanalidad. Reduzco mi tiempo de entregas. Si tengo 10 tiendas y 2 centros de distribución, ya tengo 12 centros de distribución. La globalización de mi negocio, ¿verdad? Genero más ganancias. Tengo un inventario publicado al 100% todo el día, 24 horas. ¿Ok? Y cuenten esto. 8 minutos uno de nosotros está viendo un smartphone. Significa que son en 18 horas 160 oportunidades de compra, de venta. ¿Ok? Mejorar la imagen de la marca. O sea, la experiencia omnicanal tiende a atraer más y más y más clientes porque mi experiencia de venta o mi experiencia con el cliente es completamente satisfactoria, ¿verdad? Servicios de valor agregado, un buen customer service que atienda y que pueda darle solución a todos nuestros clientes en base a este tipo de tecnología. Y un mayor portafolio y disponibilidad, como hablábamos. ¿Ok? Tener nuestro inventario publicado en todo momento. Un caso de éxito omnicanal de Manhattan Associates. Nosotros en Algo Consulting representamos la tecnología de Manhattan Associates para la región. Para los que no conocen, Manhattan Associates es la tecnología líder a nivel mundial en todo lo que es cadena de suministro. Ese es el nicho nuestro y solo nos enfocamos en cadena de suministro. ¿Ok? David's Bridal, no sé si las conocen esa marca. David Bridal es el retailer ellos se llaman el retailer de sueños, ¿ok? Porque venden trajes de novia, más grande de los Estados Unidos. Hoy por hoy cuentan con 300 tiendas, ¿ok? Y son un ejemplo de omnicanalidad a nivel mundial, ¿correcto? Hoy por hoy manejan un fill rate de on-time delivery de un 100%, ¿verdad? No hay ninguna novia preocupada por ahí que no le vaya a llegar su traje, todos llegan. ¿Cómo pasó esto dentro de David's Bridal? Al principio de los 90, eran una empresa con más de 40 tiendas, todo manual, ¿verdad? Al principio de los 90 era manual, estaban peleando contra el mercado, viendo cómo lograban manejar ese market share que tenían en ese momento. Hoy deciden al principio, finales de los 90, invertir en el WMS de Manhattan Associates, y poco a poco van creando procesos donde conecten sus tiendas con el centro de distribución para poder manejar un inventario mucho más exacto. A medida que la compañía va adquiriendo y adquiriendo y adquiriendo más tiendas, viene toda la parte de e-commerce, todo el desarrollo online, ¿ok? Deciden invertir en tecnología omnicanal. Y con eso, hoy por hoy, controlan el mercado un 100%. En ese tipo de mercado son el líder, porque logran proyectar su inventario, logran proyectar sus productos de forma dinámica. 100% dinámico. Ahorita vamos a ver un caso de éxito de parte de ellos.
At David's Bridal, one of our biggest challenges is that everything we sell is intended for one date, her wedding date, and it is the most important day of her life. So she's naturally a little stressed about it. So one of the things that we work on is we ensure that we want to get her dress in time for her day, and she's totally satisfied. And so Manhattan products help us understand, are we going to make that goal? Are we going to get it there in time based on where she lives? And so that sort of solution helps us really understand, are we going to be able to make the commitment we've made to her? We have hundreds of thousands of people coming through our stores every year, and yet we've been able to maintain an on-time accuracy rate, an on-time delivery rate that hasn't skipped a beat, even though we've continued to grow and increase our SKU offerings. And so that's really placed a lot of stress on the supply chain and us as retailers. And so we found that Manhattan can flex with us and allow us to provide solutions to her without adding staff or complexity to our supply chain. As users have new ideas of strategies that they want to sell merchandise on the website or in stores, we're often asked to change the priority of the orders that come in and how they allocate against inventory, or even to change where an order sources from, whether it's from stores or a distribution center. With DOM, we can quickly change how that's configured, and we'll test it and give it back to them in a day. We also can change what we sell on the website with just the touch of a button. If, for example, we determine not to sell a certain department on the web for one day because there's a sale in stores, we can easily take that department of merchandise off the website and have it not for sale there. We no longer have separate inventory for e-commerce and for retail stores. We now have a single pool of inventory to service the customer regardless of where she shops. In addition, our website can now take orders against inventory we don't have, but it's further up the supply chain and is a purchase order on its way to our DC. So now we can sell to her whether it's in our store or not, whether it's in our DC or not. Manhattan Associates tools really have made it so that we can sell her anytime, anywhere, and that's really helped our bottom line. Available to commerce is been so helpful to us as we go through and have conversations at a executive leadership level of what do we want to offer to sell on the website versus maybe what do we want to offer to sell in our stores. Are they the same or are they a little different? And so what we found is it's so configurable, I can select any item attribute and any store attribute and combine those together to determine what we want to sell on the website. So as we one day decide we want to not sell anything under $20 on the website that's in our stores but not in our distribution center, I can do that. And if the next day they decide, you know, maybe that should be $40, not $20, I can do that. So it's really made it so that we can respond to the speed of business rather than taking a long time to turn around and do development, custom modifications. We're able to keep up with the speed of what she wants to do. I really feel like Manhattan is invested in our success. They have the knowledge of the systems, they have the knowledge of the business. So it's been great to have a partner who sees where the business is going, who sees where retailers need to go, and is already there before we can even think of it. To have that sort of relationship with your vendor, to me, speaks volumes about the sort of company that Manhattan Associates is.
Ok. Para resumir un poco, lo importante para nosotros o para las empresas el día de mañana, para ser omnicanales, no es la parte tecnológica, no es comprar una plataforma de este tipo, es alinear los procesos. ¿Okay? Y esto no es el futuro, esto ya es hoy, esto ya está pasando. Ya la omnicanalidad es el ayer. Es como hoy ya nadie compra un website, todo el mundo compra un app. ¿Okay? Y esta es la forma de sobrevivir, y esta es la forma de que estas empresas se adopten y logren pasar esta parte tecnológica o el Amazon Effect, como lo que le llaman. Hay empresas como Best Buy. Best Buy se reinventó por tecnología omnicanal, al punto de la quiebra. Se reinventaron completamente, porque lograron ese efecto omnicanal con sus clientes y hoy por hoy siguen siendo líderes dentro del mercado. Muchas gracias por el tiempo. Vamos a estar disponibles para cualquier tipo de consulta y suerte. Gracias.
Bueno, ya estamos listos para nuestro siguiente tema, pero antes les recuerdo que gracias a nuestro patrocinador United Airlines estaremos obsequiando al finalizar la jornada un pasaje aéreo a los Estados Unidos. Solamente deben entregar su tarjeta de presentación en la mesa de registro y la tómbola es presencial. No participamos ninguno de los miembros del comité organizador ni expositores, tampoco medios de comunicación, solamente ustedes que son nuestra audiencia. Bien, continuamos con nuestra siguiente conferencia, trazabilidad en la salud pública, caso de éxito, implementación de estándares de salud en el sistema público de salud de Argentina, GS1. Nos acompaña Guillermo Facio, es el Director Supply Chain de Nestlé Argentina y presidente del Board de GS1 Argentina. Vamos a recibirlo con un fuerte aplauso.
Hola, buenas tardes. Muchas gracias al comité organizador de este Supply Chain Forum por esta invitación y además los felicito por esta excelente iniciativa de poder compartir buenas prácticas y soluciones que se dan en distintos lugares, en distintas industrias. La verdad que ha sido sumamente interesante todo lo que hemos visto hasta ahora. Como mencionaba recién el locutor, mi nombre es Guillermo Facio, soy argentino. Soy el director de Supply Chain y Operaciones del Grupo Nestlé para la región Plata, que incluye la parte sur del Cono Sur, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay. Pero no estoy acá en calidad de mi función o de mi rol en Nestlé, sino que en realidad he venido a participar en función de ser el presidente de GS1 Argentina. Básicamente, para quienes no conocen qué es GS1 Argentina, quiero contarles que GS1 es una organización internacional fundada hace más de 40 años, que básicamente está dedicada a la creación de estándares y al fomento de la adopción de esos estándares entre socios de la cadena de valor, fundamentalmente para mejorar la eficiencia de toda la cadena y sobre todo para beneficiar a quien está al final de esa cadena, que básicamente es nuestro consumidor. Esta es una organización que fundamentalmente es una organización sin fines de lucro, es una organización neutral. Básicamente es una organización que, como decíamos antes, tiene como objetivo el desarrollo de estándares. Cuando hablamos de desarrollar estándares, estamos hablando de crear un idioma en el cual van a interactuar y van a poder hablar los distintos actores de la cadena de valor. Básicamente, cuando hablamos de un idioma, estamos hablando de formas de comunicarse entre distintas organizaciones. Ejemplos de cosas que hacemos en GS1, que hemos hecho o que ha hecho GS1 a lo largo de su historia, ha sido crear, desarrollar y fomentar la adopción de estándares tan simples como el código de barras, algo que para nosotros es tan natural y tan habitual como ir al supermercado y comprar mercadería y que la cajera lo pase rápidamente. quienes tenemos algunos años nos acordamos que eso antes no era así, sino que había todo un proceso de marcación, digitalización y todo, de digitación, digamos, en la caja, y que evidentemente era un proceso que todo esto ayudó a mejorar fuertemente. Otro de los estándares que GS1 desarrolló a nivel mundial es todo lo que es la interconexión entre empresas cuando hablamos de EDI, cuando hablamos de intercambio electrónico de información. Básicamente es otro de los estándares que creó este GS1 y se enfoca en desarrollar soluciones de ese tipo, soluciones de trazabilidad, como lo que vamos a hablar durante el día de hoy, o soluciones de distintos temas que apuntan a distintas industrias, desde industrias de alimentación, donde yo particularmente por mi actividad trabajo, pero también industrias de medicamentos, de industrias de todo tipo. Todo lo que pueda tener alguna interconexión y tenga una cadena de valor que involucre a diferentes actores puede ser trabajado y puede adoptar los estándares de GS1. Esos estándares de GS1 tienden, básicamente, ¿quién es GS1? ¿Quiénes son quienes componen esta organización? A nivel mundial podemos encontrar que hay compañías originalmente de consumo masivo y de retail. Eso ha ido creciendo a lo largo de los años, incorporándose distintas industrias, como hablábamos antes, industrias de la salud, industrias automotrices, industrias de un montón, todo lo que tiene que ver con consumo masivo y retailers, pero también en los últimos años, con el crecimiento de la economía digital y con toda la aparición de todas las nuevas formas de comercio, hoy por hoy son jugadores importantes, por ejemplo Amazon, por ejemplo Google, por ejemplo Alibaba, son incluso miembros del board a nivel mundial de esta organización. Y también tenemos una serie de partners, entre los cuales vamos a encontrar que están desde las Naciones Unidas, pasando por la Organización Mundial de la Salud, o el Consumer Goods Forum, que es una organización que también nuclea a compañías de consumo masivo y retailers a nivel mundial. Y básicamente, de nuevo, el objetivo de esta organización es fundamentalmente mejorar la eficiencia de la cadena de valor y beneficiar al consumidor, que es nuestra razón de ser y que está al final de toda esa cadena. Cuando hablábamos recién del sistema de estándares de GS1, básicamente permite cosas tan simples como identificar productos, locaciones, activos, simplemente es identificar las cosas que intervienen en esa cadena de valor, o sea, todo lo que tenga que ver con ubicaciones físicas, identificar productos, identificar productos en sus distintas etapas, ya sea en formatos individuales, cajas, continentes, pallets, camiones, cargas completas, identificar activos que participan en la cadena de valor también. También otro grupo de estándares o tiende de resolver GS1 a través de sus estándares es todo lo que tiene que ver con capturar esa información en forma eficiente y clara, o sea, claramente todo lo que significa, además de definir cómo se deben identificar las distintas partes, porque también nos damos cuenta que cada vez más estas cadenas de valor son más globales, involucran más jugadores y más activos que están a lo mejor separados muchos kilómetros de distancia. Esto de capturar, la forma de capturar esa información en forma eficiente y confiable, y también la posibilidad de compartir esa información entre distintos jugadores de la cadena. Y esa es la parte que también tiene mucha importancia. Si eso lo ponemos en ejemplos más prácticos, como decíamos recién, los estándares de GS1 tienden a identificar desde locaciones físicas, locación del fabricante, locación de los centros de distribución, las tiendas o lo que fuera, tiende a identificar artículos o cosas que fluyen a lo largo de la cadena de valor, como por ejemplo productos individuales o cajas, pallets o lo que fuera, activos que intervienen en todo esto. Cuando hablamos de capturar vamos a ver que hay distintas formas de estándares de identificación que tienen que ver con, ya sea los de primera generación, que son los unidimensionales o los códigos de barra simple, con sus distintas variantes. Luego hay una segunda generación de identificación que tiene que ver con los códigos bidimensionales, todo lo que tiene que ver con código QR, tan famoso hoy por hoy, o con el código bidimensional. Y también tenemos una tercera generación de todo lo que tiene que ver con identificadores de radiofrecuencia, particularmente todo lo que tiene que ver con tags de RFID o con distintos sistemas que permiten identificar en forma eficiente, obviamente vinculándolo también con elementos de captura que también siguen los mismos estándares y que permiten una eficiencia grande en el tema de capturar datos. Por otro lado, como decíamos recién, también los estándares de GS1 apuntan a poder compartir esa información ya sea a través de bases de datos centralizadas y estandarizadas, ya sea a través de compartir información a través del sistema electrónico de EDI, digamos lo que es Electronic Data Interchange, o también para generar distintos tipos de intercambio de información entre estos actores de la cadena de valor. Y por último, también los estándares de GS1 permiten también la utilización de esa información en beneficio del consumidor que está en la punta. Entre otros ejemplos, vamos a hablar hoy de todo lo que tiene con trazabilidad. O sea, esos datos generados, identificación generada con estándares, luego capturada a lo largo de la cadena a través de mecanismos y de dispositivos que cumplen esos estándares, permiten luego que esa información sea utilizada en beneficio de la cadena de valor. Cuando hablamos del tema de trazabilidad, básicamente cuando hablamos de trazabilidad estamos hablando de la posibilidad de llevar registros de todo lo que pasa a lo largo de la cadena de valor, básicamente en función de determinados atributos o de determinados datos que queremos monitorear y que son definidos por los participantes de esa cadena o por los socios comerciales, ¿no es cierto? Y cuando hablamos de esto, siempre el desafío a resolver básicamente tiene que ver con conectar esos puntos de la cadena. O sea, nosotros vamos a ver que empresas grandes normalmente, ya sea empresas de alimentación, empresas automotrices, o compañías tecnológicas o compañías de medicamentos, son compañías que tienen sus propios sistemas de trazabilidad, probablemente tienen definido su modelo interno de cómo medir y cómo seguir la trazabilidad de un producto a lo largo de toda la cadena, pero el problema se genera cuando esos sistemas de trazabilidad no necesariamente cumplen los mismos estándares y ese producto sale de las puertas del centro de distribución o de la fábrica de esa compañía. Y ahí se pierde todo ese trabajo de trazabilidad porque claramente los siguientes actores en la cadena no hablan el mismo idioma. Entonces, lo que vamos a tratar de trabajar y contarles un poco un ejemplo es la trazabilidad. Lo que trata de responder son preguntas como estas, preguntas tan simples como saber dónde está mi carga, cómo saber si ese producto ha sido bien almacenado, ha sido guardado y ha sido tratado en las condiciones que debe ser durante toda la cadena de valor. Trata de responder si el consumidor va a tomar ese producto y es seguro que lo consuma, ya sea en el caso de alimentos, en el caso de remedios o en lo que fuera. También va a poder darnos información sobre si se entregó o no se entregó, en qué etapa de la cadena está y todo. Como decíamos antes, vamos a hablar hoy, en esta presentación, vamos a tratar de contarles un caso de éxito que básicamente tiene que ver con la trazabilidad en el sector de la salud que desarrollamos en Argentina. Básicamente, la trazabilidad en el sector de la salud, durante la segunda mitad del siglo pasado, la trazabilidad empezó a ser algo más en auge y más en crecimiento, pero particularmente muy impulsado por empresas privadas o grandes compañías que lo que buscaban era poder asegurarse del movimiento de los productos a lo largo de su propia cadena de valor dentro mismo de la frontera de la compañía, y también impulsado en algunos casos por algunas regulaciones de los gobiernos que requerían determinada información que tenía que ser compartida. La realidad es que en las primeras 2 décadas de este nuevo siglo, a partir del año 2000, distintos gobiernos han ido impulsando la necesidad y han ido impulsando la regulación de tener determinada trazabilidad obligatoria en ciertas cadenas, sobre todo en los temas de medicamentos. Entonces vamos a encontrar que la Unión Europea, por ejemplo, a partir del 2011, ha creado estándares y ha definido con la ayuda de GC1 la necesidad de llevar una trazabilidad, fundamentalmente para evitar lo que es falsificación de los remedios y para poder hacer seguimiento de todo lo que son dispositivos médicos y elementos quirúrgicos. Del mismo modo vamos a encontrar que países como Corea también ha buscado lo mismo, buscando evitar falsificación y pudiendo dar transparencia al sistema de trazabilidad y a todo lo que pasa con esa cadena en lo que tiene que ver con alimentos y con elementos que van y confluyen en los sectores de la salud. Turquía también lo hizo, pero particularmente en el caso de Turquía el movilizador fue más una cuestión de evitar fraudes. Ustedes saben que todo el sistema de salud y todo lo que es el movimiento de medicamentos tiene una connotación importante en todos los países, tiene en muchos casos mucha inversión pública asociada a todo lo que es el manejo de esta cadena de valor y también es un espacio sujeto a muchas oportunidades de fraude, con lo cual distintos países también han encontrado, además de la seguridad del consumidor, una necesidad de poder asegurar transparencia a lo largo de la cadena como una forma también de evitar posibles fraudes. El caso de Estados Unidos también ha ido desarrollando todo lo que tiene que ver con una trazabilidad y ha ido exigiendo a los comercializadores de medicamentos trazabilidad también para asegurar que no haya falsificaciones. Y en el caso de Argentina vamos a encontrar también que el gobierno argentino, a partir de todo lo que trabajamos juntos y de las recomendaciones de GC1, de los estándares que pudimos mostrar y la oportunidad que se presentaba, también implementó este sistema de trazabilidad con el objetivo principal de, primero, dar transparencia a la cadena, segundo, eliminar ese espacio que hablábamos antes de oportunidad de fraude y de negocios que se generan a partir de algo tan sensible como la salud, y también, fundamentalmente, para evitar lo que tiene que ver con falsificación. Ahora, cuando decimos la trazabilidad es importante en el negocio de medicamentos, ¿por qué? por cosas tan sensibles como las que les voy a contar ahora, pues ustedes están viendo en la pantalla. Según Interpol, aproximadamente 1 millón de personas mueren cada año por consumir remedios falsificados. 1 millón de personas en el mundo mueren por tomar remedios que han sido falsificados. Es una cifra súper alarmante. Del mismo modo, podemos ver que en algunas regiones del mundo, particularmente en África, en algunos lugares de Asia y en Latinoamérica, hasta 30% de los medicamentos son falsificados, pueden ser falsificados. Del mismo modo, también hay una oportunidad, y lo que surge claramente, y fue con lo que también trabajamos con el gobierno argentino y se concientizó, es que si utilizamos estándares y tenemos una cadena de trazabilidad y damos visibilidad a toda esa cadena de valor, es muy posible, primero, evitar todos estos temas que son realmente dramáticos, pero también es evitar la posibilidad de que ingresen grandes sumas de dinero o grandes millones miles de millones de dólares en remedios falsificados a la red de comercialización. Y del mismo modo, darle seguridad a los consumidores de que están tomando un remedio o que están siendo administrados con un remedio que es claramente seguro. Como yo hablaba al principio, GC1 es una organización dedicada a todo lo que tiene que ver con definir estándares y fomentar la utilización y la implementación de esos estándares en los distintos actores de una cadena de valor. Y claramente desde hace algunos años hemos incorporado a nuestra agenda la relación y la participación público-privada. Conscientes de que cuando uno mira las actividades de una empresa privada, por más grande que sea, en cualquier lugar que le toque operar, un porcentaje muy importante de sus transacciones y de su actividad tiene que ver y tiene que interactuar con el sector público. Particularmente si miramos en Argentina, hemos ido trabajando con distintos sectores del sector público, desde el Ministerio de Seguridad, con todo lo que tiene que ver con trazabilidad para precursores químicos. Ustedes saben que los precursores químicos son una de las materias primas que se utilizan para fabricar drogas sintéticas, con lo cual es muy sensible y muy importante tener una trazabilidad y un seguimiento y poder evitar que ese tipo de precursores químicos que se importan con un uso determinado no terminen en otros lugares fomentando lo que es la creación o creando espacios para producción de drogas sintéticas. Por otro lado, hemos trabajado también con la Secretaría de la Pequeña y la Mediana Empresa para poder trabajar con ellos también en la generación y la facilitación de los procesos. Claramente, cuando hablamos de facilitar las cadenas de valor a las compañías grandes, como la que yo trabajo, todo lo que significa simplificar es importante, pero para una empresa mediana o chica muchas veces es de supervivencia. O sea, claramente la cantidad de procesos que se pueden simplificar utilizando estándares es enorme y hemos trabajado mucho con ellos en esta participación público-privada. También hemos trabajado con la aduana. Antes de esto hubo una presentación muy buena sobre el tema de ventana única. Nosotros en Argentina estamos trabajando activamente y eso está por ser implementado en los próximos meses y claramente todo lo que tiene que ver con el intercambio de productos vía aduanera van a utilizar los estándares de GC1. De nuevo, los que hablábamos antes, de identificación, a través de una identificación única, unívoca, global, todo lo que tiene que ver con captura de información y todo lo que tiene que ver con compartir esa información. Todos esos estándares están hoy por hoy siendo implementados también para lo que es la actividad aduanera. También hemos trabajado con el ente fiscal, que para nosotros se llama AFIP, básicamente en todo lo que tiene que ver con la implementación de la factura electrónica, utilizando los estándares también de GC1. Y lo que les voy a contar ahora tiene que ver con lo que hemos hecho con ANMAT, que es el ente regulador de todo lo que tiene que ver con medicamentos y con temas de la salud en nuestro país, y que tiene que ver con la trazabilidad, con un sistema de trazabilidad de medicamentos. ¿Por qué es importante, particularmente en Argentina? Vamos a ver que esto es un poco lo que esto no le llega a ver, es claramente esta es la situación previa a empezar a trabajar. Como ustedes pueden ver, esto realmente era un caos, pero además de ver una desconexión total entre los distintos jugadores, lo que uno puede leer, si es un poquito desconfiado, es un espacio espectacular para poder hacer un fraude o para poder encontrar oportunidades de hacer negocios no claros. Entonces, claramente era una necesidad también. Y en esto vamos a ver casos como, por ejemplo, que yo les voy a mostrar ahora. Ustedes pueden ver ahí estos son datos reales, estos son casos reales que sucedieron en Argentina. Ustedes pueden ver que en diciembre del 2004 falleció una chica joven, básicamente embarazada, porque le administraron una ampolla de hierro que era, si ustedes pueden ver, yo creo que difícilmente hay que ser un especialista para poder determinar cuál de los dos era el original y el falsificado. Los productos son prácticamente iguales. Y el hecho de no tener una cadena de trazabilidad permitía que nadie podía asegurar cuál de los dos productos era el original o el falsificado. Del mismo modo, ahí tienen algunos otros ejemplos. Ustedes pueden ver, de nuevo, medicamentos que son algunos de venta común o de venta libre, pero que claramente es muy difícil identificar cuál es el original y cuál es el falsificado. Entonces, claramente eso vuelve a ser una necesidad. Y como yo mencionaba antes también, la necesidad también de eliminar ese espacio gris, oportunidad de fraude que hemos tenido como en distintos países. Bueno, en nuestro país también hemos tenido casos que todavía están en investigación y algunos que han sido investigados en el pasado, donde todo ese espacio permitía también la oportunidad de generar nuevos negocios distintos. Por eso en el año 2011 el gobierno, a través del ANMAT, el ANMAT es la Administración Nacional de Medicamentos, básicamente emitió una resolución, la resolución 435 del año 2011, donde, como ustedes no sé si llegan a verlo, pero básicamente lo que dice es que todos los actores que participan en la cadena que tiene que ver con medicamentos, dispositivos médicos y elementos quirúrgicos deberán implementar un esquema de trazabilidad que permita hacer todo el seguimiento a lo largo de toda la cadena. Y entonces, eso fue lo que el gobierno argentino implementó. Ahí tenemos un pequeño video que voy a tratar de ver si podemos ver, donde el funcionario a cargo de esto en el gobierno, Maximiliano Derecho, explica básicamente los objetivos del programa. No sé si me ayudan ustedes con el video.
El sistema de trazabilidad es un sistema de trazabilidad por unidad que básicamente lo que hace es identificar individual y unívocamente a cada cajita o a cada unidad de medicamentos. Es como que cada unidad tuviera su DNI propio, su DNI específico que la hace única dentro de la cadena de suministro y poder registrar todos los pasos que ese medicamento va siguiendo a lo largo de la cadena de comercialización hasta que llega y es dispensado al paciente, de forma tal de validar que esa cadena es una cadena segura, con establecimientos habilitados, que ese producto no tuvo ningún tipo de desvío y que se trata de un producto legítimo, de calidad, seguro y eficaz.
Bueno, lo que a mí más me gusta lo que a mí más me gusta de estos estándares de GC1, cuando hablamos de este tipo de cosas, es que no estamos hablando de rocket science en ningún caso, estamos hablando de cosas muy simples. Creo que el principal desafío en esto, y creo que es donde entidades intermedias como GC1 podemos jugar un rol, es básicamente en articular que distintos actores de la cadena tengan esa vocación y esa actitud de poder interactuar entre sí y encontrar a través de la implementación de estas herramientas estándar la posibilidad de compartir esa información, utilizar los mismos mecanismos y de alguna forma hacer que esto sea exitoso. Como decíamos antes, los estándares de GC1 tienden a, como decíamos primero, era identificar, capturar y compartir información. Ahí ustedes lo que pueden ver lo que es la red de jugadores o de actores que intervienen en la cadena de valor de los medicamentos en nuestro país. Aproximadamente son unos 16.000 actores que involucran desde los laboratorios medicinales, que son quienes fabrican los productos, pasando por todo lo que tiene que ver con las distribuidoras y las droguerías. Para nosotros las droguerías son los comercios mayoristas que le venden los remedios a los minoristas, que son las farmacias. Digo, porque por ahí en distintos países llamamos de distintas formas a las mismas cosas, ¿no? En Argentina, el laboratorio es la fábrica de medicamentos, los mayoristas o las distribuidoras son empresas que se encargan de tomar y comercializar a través de droguerías. Las droguerías son los mayoristas que le venden a las farmacias y las farmacias son quienes dispensan los productos al consumidor final o a través de los entes o de los hospitales o sanatorios, que son los lugares donde se consume una parte importante de estos medicamentos. Como podemos ver, son unos 16.000 actores aproximadamente los que están jugando y por ahí todos esos actores están involucrados dentro de este sistema de trazabilidad. Esto que están viendo ahora en la pantalla es básicamente un desarrollo, si ustedes entran al sistema de trazabilidad de ANMAT en Argentina van a ver esta primera pantalla, donde ustedes pueden ver que tienen acceso los distintos jugadores, desde laboratorios, pasando por distribuidores, operadores logísticos, droguerías, farmacias, hasta incluso el consumidor final, que son quienes pueden entrar y poder validar si un determinado remedio, un determinado medicamento que estoy a punto de consumir, es seguro o no es seguro, ¿no es cierto? Si vemos esto, básicamente el ANMAT fue regulando las distintas categorías o tipos de medicamentos, pero fundamentalmente el sistema trabaja a través de los estándares de GC1, hablábamos antes de identificación y captura. Ustedes pueden ver, si vemos esto llevado a la cadena de valor de medicamentos, desde la identificación de la unidosis, o sea, de la dosis individual. Para que ustedes tengan una idea, uno de los principales problemas que hay en los hospitales es la administración errónea de un medicamento, por errores en los procesos y por falta de identificación de los mismos. No hay cosa más complicada que darle a un paciente un remedio equivocado. Por dos razones, porque el que le estamos dando no sabemos qué efecto le puede causar, pero sobre todo porque no le estamos dando el remedio que tiene que tomar para su dolencia actual. Con lo cual el sistema de GC1 se basa El sistema de trazabilidad que implementamos en Argentina se basa primero que nada en lo que es identificación de los distintos tipos de unidades. Pueden ver desde la monodosis, pasando por la caja individual, pasando por lo que es el packaging secundario, por la caja o por el pallet, donde utilizamos distintos sistemas de identificación. Y luego, así van a ver, si ustedes compran un remedio en Argentina, van a ver que tiene la identificación, como mencionábamos recién, a través de los estándares de GC1, y van a ver que el sistema funciona fundamentalmente donde los flujos físicos y los flujos de información acompañan de la misma manera y donde vemos que todo lo que tiene que ver con los códigos y las bases de datos actúan como facilitadores de todo este proceso. Y a la larga lo que tenemos es que el consumidor tiene una visión general o el consumidor o el médico o la clínica o cualquier actor puede tener esa información. Si miramos los resultados hasta el momento en que la ANMAT siguió trazándolos de cerca, que fue hasta el principio del año 2018, podemos decir que había habido unos 400 millones de unidades que habían sido trazadas, 400 millones de unidades de medicamentos que habían pasado por el sistema de trazabilidad y que sabíamos dónde se habían sido producidas, cómo habían sido almacenadas, cómo habían llegado básicamente hasta el punto de expendio o hasta el hospital en el cual iban a ser administradas. Y a su vez un 10% de esas, hasta incluso teníamos la información de quién era el consumidor o quién era el paciente que había sido administrado con ese tipo de medicamentos. Y esto más o menos implica 1 millón de transacciones, 1.000 millones de transacciones, perdón, con lo cual lo que podemos decir es que aproximadamente cada transacción tiene unas 25 o 30, cada medicamento tiene unas 25 o 30 eventos o cosas que quedan registradas a lo largo del sistema, ¿no? Básicamente, lo que podemos decir es, el sistema permite identificar un stock por lote, saber dónde está el producto almacenado, en qué lugares hay, si queda o no queda de ese lote, en qué farmacias puede estar, si en caso de que haya que hacer un recall o algún caso por el estilo. Permite también entender por vencimiento, entender de un determinado lote, una determinada partida de producto, si puede haber producto con riesgo de vencimiento o no y en qué lugares está. Permite hacer trazabilidad también por la droga original y también permite hacer trazabilidad por los distintos lotes. Y 1 millón de otras cosas más que podríamos identificar y ir en detalle, pero poco quería contarles en cosas muy rápidamente algunas de las principales funcionalidades que tiene el sistema. ¿Cuál fue el rol de GC1 en todo esto? Ustedes le preguntan, ¿y por qué estamos nosotros contándolo acá? Fundamentalmente, de nuevo, cuando uno mira los estándares de GC1, son cosas simples. No estamos hablando de descubrir la pólvora ni de inventar la rueda. Lo que estamos diciendo es tratar de buscar de qué forma esas cosas que son simples las hablan los distintos actores de la misma cadena. ¿Cómo podemos hacer que compañías grandes, los laboratorios farmacéuticos son compañías muy grandes, las distribuidoras son compañías también muy grandes? Entonces, ¿cómo podemos a través de todo eso hacer que todos los actores de la misma cadena trabajen en esa dirección? ¿Cuál fue el rol de GC1? Primero de todo fue explicar la existencia de esos estándares, la simplicidad de poder implementarlos, fue trabajar con el gobierno en detectar la necesidad y la oportunidad, porque claramente acá hablábamos de una oportunidad de generar algo muy importante con relativamente un bajo esfuerzo en términos económicos. Esto no significa un gran esfuerzo en términos económicos para el gobierno. Hubo un desarrollo de soft, obviamente, pero ese desarrollo se hizo con recursos del Estado que ya estaban de alguna forma, digamos así, hundidos, porque en realidad fue parte del equipamiento propio. Hubo sí todo un trabajo de coordinación con la industria y también en eso GC1 tuvo un rol importante. Trabajamos con todo lo que tuvo que ver con acuerdo con los distintos actores de la cadena, con todo lo que tuvo que ver con concientización, todo lo que tuvo que ver con capacitación, acompañar al Estado en todas las presentaciones y el seguimiento durante toda la implementación hasta llegar a los resultados actuales. Y claramente los beneficios obtenidos son muy simples. La primera, y sobre todo la principal, es mejorar la seguridad del paciente. Nadie debería estar tomando un remedio que no haya sido administrado adecuadamente, que no haya sido almacenado y que no haya sido tratado durante toda la cadena de valor como corresponde. Y obviamente evitar todo lo que tiene que ver con falsificaciones o con productos que puedan ingresar o con productos mismos que puedan, aunque no sean falsificaciones, más de una vez podemos encontrar a alguien que podía cambiar una fecha de vencimiento, que podía modificar algún dato propio del remedio. Hoy por hoy, teniendo esta trazabilidad, es imposible ese tipo de manipulaciones. Y del mismo modo, mejorar la eficiencia de toda la cadena, incluso permitiendo, en caso que haya algún tipo de recall o de necesidad de recuperar parte de los medicamentos del mercado, poder hacerlo en forma eficiente y rápida. Acá tenemos un pequeño video, que incluso fue algo que el gobierno de Argentina publicitó en los medios, contando un poco sobre este sistema de trazabilidad. Y bueno, los dejo con el video para que vean un poco lo...
No hay nada más importante que tu salud, la de tus hijos y tu familia. Por eso queremos que cada vez que compres un medicamento estés tranquilo y seguro. Desde mayo del 2011, Contamos con un sistema de avanzada que permite un seguimiento exhaustivo por lote de medicamentos que se venden bajo receta, desde su salida del laboratorio hasta su llegada a la farmacia. A partir de ahora, implementamos un nuevo sistema que, además de hacer un seguimiento por lote, también lo hace por cada uno de los envases. Entonces, cada vez que llegue a tus manos alguno de los 2.300 medicamentos que están protegidos por este sistema, vas a poder tomarlos con la tranquilidad de saber que el Estado estuvo presente para cuidarte a vos y a los que más querés. Por otra parte, incorporamos un dispositivo de seguridad que garantiza la inviolabilidad de todos los medicamentos que se venden bajo receta para que lleguen a destino tal como salieron del laboratorio. Estas tecnologías nos permitirán auditar con precisión y eficacia más de 100 millones de envases anuales. Es un paso más para seguir cuidando la salud de todos los argentinos.
Argentina, un país con buena gente. Presidencia de la Nación.
Bueno, perdonen la parte publicitaria, digamos, pero bueno, claramente saben que estamos en época de elecciones y con algunas discusiones. Pero bueno, es la publicidad tal cual era, no la cortamos, nada, 100% objetivos. Y mirando hacia el futuro, básicamente nuestra ambición y nuestro sueño, en alguna medida, como parte de esta red que significa GC1 a nivel mundial, es poder potenciar esa participación entre lo público y lo privado, poder potenciar el trabajo que hacemos las compañías privadas junto con el sector público, con estos entes que nos permiten a poder hablar el mismo idioma en los negocios, que básicamente tiene que ver con la utilización de estos estándares, y poder asegurar que el momento de que vamos a recibir, bueno, creo que la foto lo dice todo, pero al momento de recibir un medicamento o una inyección o lo que fuera, estemos seguros que ese medicamento corresponde, que ha sido bien tratado, que ha sido almacenado en las condiciones de temperatura adecuadas, que no ha sido falsificado y que claramente corresponde a una cadena de valor que ha respetado todas las cosas como deben ser. O que al momento de tener una cirugía o al momento de entrar al quirófano porque nos van a operar, tengamos la tranquilidad de que todos esos medicamentos, todo lo que son prótesis o dispositivos médicos que van a participar en esa compleja intervención, hayan seguido toda la trazabilidad y que de alguna forma estemos seguros de que estén en las condiciones que tienen que ser y sean los elementos que son necesarios y no falte ni sobre nada que no corresponda. Así que bueno, esto es lo que yo quería compartirles, para nosotros ha sido un caso de éxito, y bueno, les agradezco. Un poco lo que les quiero dejar es también acá el dato de contacto aquí en Panamá, a través de nuestro equipo. GC1 está presente prácticamente en todos los países del mundo, tenemos una oficina aquí en Panamá, y cualquier cosa pueden contactar a través de ellos para más información o para participar eventualmente de este caso. Muchas gracias.
Bueno, estamos listos con nuestra siguiente invitada. Está atendiendo medios de comunicación. Parece que, bueno, está terminando una entrevista en los medios de comunicación. Mientras tanto, les recuerdo que este evento se realiza gracias a ALCO, Crimson Logic, Ocean Network Express, Credit Corp Bank, Ubicua, Banco General, CCT, Unión Nacional de Corredores de Aduanas de Panamá, Yamasoft, GC1, United Airlines, Universidad Interamericana de Panamá, Schenker y Copa Airlines. Fuerte el aplauso para las empresas patrocinadoras del Panama Supply Chain Forum 2019. Nuestros aliados estratégicos, Consejo Empresarial Logístico de Panamá, Asociación Panameña de Exportadores APEX, Cámara Marítima de Panamá, Hub, Multimodal and Logistic Transport, Panorama Marítimo y Logístico, y este evento es a beneficio de la Fundación Enséñame a Vivir. Creo que ya estamos listos para compartir, chicos de producción, el video de la Fundación. ¿Podemos compartirlo? Vamos a proyectar la siguiente reseña audiovisual de la Fundación Enséñame a Vivir. Si producción me indica, vamos entonces a conocer.
La Fundación Enséñame a Vivir es una organización sin fines de lucro. Fue fundada en el año 2010. Empezó a operar en el año 2012 en su centro de atención, ubicado en La Boca, en la ciudad de Panamá. Su misión es lograr la inclusión de personas con el trastorno de espectro autista a la vida. En el centro de atención se recibe a niños desde los 2 años, a jóvenes y a adultos.
La mayor aspiración es nivelar al niño en edades tempranas para que pueda aprovechar la escolaridad.
En el Centro de Rehabilitación para Autismo se trabaja cada caso de manera personalizada, a través del currículum funcional natural. La fortaleza de la metodología que se utiliza es que se trata de un programa organizado, con objetivos adaptados a la realidad de cada niño, joven o adulto.
Algo que tiene muy bonito este programa es que es un programa muy humanitario, rescata la parte de la dignidad del niño, poniendo todos esos objetivos académicos también en una balanza con la vida familiar, con la atención a la familia. Así que básicamente el conjunto de todas las cosas que nosotros hacemos hacen que la vida del niño vaya nivelándose, ¿no?
Anualmente, la Fundación Enséñame a Vivir atiende a 200 familias que llegan en busca de asesorías o de algún tipo de orientación, además de los cerca de 100 niños que atiende de forma permanente.
Atención de neurología continua para el tema de diagnósticos y regulación también mes a mes de la propia condición de los niños que ya tenemos y de niños externos también que no pertenecen a la Fundación pero que requieren de servicio de neurología.
El entrenamiento que reciben las personas que están cerca del niño hace la diferencia, porque le pueden dar ese acompañamiento que necesita fuera del tratamiento formal y en las distintas actividades en las que participa.
Integrar a la familia también es importante. Nosotros una vez al mes convocamos a los papás para que vengan a la Fundación a aprender de nuestros programas, es decir, que no es un programa a puertas cerradas, sino que se le extiende a los papás, a la comunidad.
En la Fundación Enséñame a Vivir, sabemos que ningún caso es igual a otro. Por eso, mantenemos una visión humanitaria, personalizada, siempre enfocados en las potencialidades de las personas con autismo.
Bueno, ustedes con su asistencia y participación están apoyando a esta fundación. Fuerte el aplauso para el comité organizador que tuvo la iniciativa de incluirlos dentro de este primer Panama Supply Chain Forum 2019. Ya estamos listos con nuestra siguiente invitada. Ella es directora de Innovación para las Américas de DHL, responsable del Centro de Desarrollo de DHL Estados Unidos, una instalación de vanguardia para involucrar a clientes, nuevas empresas e industrias. Con el tema El futuro digital de la logística, recibimos a Gina Chung.
All right. Can everyone hear me all right? Great. Good afternoon. It's a real pleasure to be here at the Supply Chain Forum. So as he mentioned, my name is Gina. I'm responsible for DHL's innovation agenda across the Americas region. I'm already going to answer a question that you probably have in your head, which is, where is this accent coming from? I'm from New Zealand. That's where I grew up. I lived in Germany for 6 years, which is where DHL is headquartered. And then as of last year, I actually moved to Chicago to take over ownership of our latest innovation center that we're just finishing the construction of. So I've been with DHL for the last 7 years. I've had the incredible opportunity to work in a global role, working with our customers from various different sectors, working with all of our different business unit operations, from warehousing to transportation to last mile, to really understand what does the future of logistics look like, and then most importantly, how can we actually drive change, how can we drive new initiatives that brings us as well as the industry forward. So in 20 minutes, I'm going to try and condense some of this knowledge for you. And then afterwards, I'll also be around to take any questions that you might have. And I also have some local DHLers here in the room as well to support me. So I'm going to get started with my first part, which is when we talk about the digital future of logistics, a lot of the times we talk about, digital disruption as if, we need to be the next Uber or we need to be the next Airbnb. But actually, there's a really great article from the Harvard Business Review that's worthwhile reading, which goes into this whole mindset that actually disruption starts with unhappy customers. It doesn't start with robotics, it doesn't start with blockchain, it really starts with customers, with people demanding different things. And if the solution's not there, they'll switch and adopt something else. So at DHL, we're strong believers that innovation needs to start with the customer. You really need to understand what are your customers' future needs, future challenges, and based on that, be able to put forward a roadmap for innovation. So I'm going to share with you today a little bit of the reasons what is driving this digital future of logistics, how we can then prepare for this digital future, and then end with some tangible examples of projects that we're driving currently in our operations with our partners and customers, and then hopefully actually the reason why I'm here today in Panama. We're investing a lot into our operations here, and we're hoping to also get a few more innovation initiatives underway here in Panama. So if you have any ideas or inspiration that you can see us partnering on after this presentation, feel free to reach out to me or my colleagues. So with that, one clear statement that I'll make is that we believe that the needs of our customers, as well as also the industry, is changing. So what's very clear is that our customers and our customers' customers are demanding a more digital way of doing logistics, demanding more digital services, but at the same time we see that the logistics industry, the industry that we're all in here today, is changing systematically. So we have to stay ahead of the digital curve, and we're doing this by really trying to understand how fast some of the different changes are happening in different markets, and then based on that, tailoring different innovation approaches. So what's fueling the need to innovate? One challenge that we see and what's really driving some of the adoption that you're seeing in the media when it comes to robotics, especially in North America, is a growing labor shortage. So a lot of the times there's a myth that, robotics, it's going to be automating the workforce. But actually in markets like the US, you really have to actually be utilizing robotics in some areas where we don't even see the labor today to do some of the logistics activities. And to give you an idea of how large this problem is, in the US, it's estimated that the average truck driver's age is already 55 years old. And just this morning, I was with the Panama Canal, and they were mentioning that their average age is coming at around 49 years old. So you see that just in the next 10, 20 years, there will be a huge shift in who is actually doing some of these logistics services today. The next part is, one side it's an aging workforce, but on the other hand, it's also a young workforce. So we also see that the makeup of the logistics industry is changing, and it's changing pretty fast. So if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, what you're going to see in the next couple of years is a huge shift in who is doing your logistics then, if not the older generations. It's actually going to be the millennials. Whether you like millennials or whether you hate millennials or think they're the worst thing that's ever happened, they will make up the majority of the workforce in many, many countries already today. And for some of our customers, when we talk about a changing workforce and the need to be more digital to appeal to talent and retain talent, we have retail customers, especially e-commerce customers, saying that in their organization it's already 80%, 90% millennial workforce. So there that continues to drive the need to be the best employer to attract and retain talent in a competitive labor market. Another reason that we need to go digital and be more innovative is when it comes to really us as customers, as consumers. We're seeing that digital societies, it's only going to continue to accelerate. More and more connectivity spreading across different markets, different cities will mean that we need to be ahead of the trend. And just to give you one example of a company that just demonstrates the scale of what's at hand, if you're becoming more digital and the logistics behind that, is Alibaba. So I'm not sure how many of you know what Alibaba Singles Day is. Maybe a raise of hands, who knows what Singles Day is? A couple? So if you're not familiar with what Singles Day is, it's the opposite of Valentine's Day. So in China, On the 11th of November, there's a huge 24-hour sales event where, single Chinese go online and go shopping. And Alibaba, they have a huge sales event where they do promotions, and that's actually an event where they lock down pretty much most of their annual revenue in a 24-hour period. And to give you an idea on their e-commerce platform, in the 24-hour period that is Singles Day, they generate over 1 billion logistics orders that they have to fulfill and deliver as soon as possible. So we see that the opportunity to go digital, to try out e-commerce as a channel, or to really drive omni-channel, as we heard earlier on stage today, is a must. And then lastly, all of these changes that are happening with the workforce, with the consumers, is also impacting logistics. So as we have a younger workforce, as we have a more digital society, that expectation is also translating to how we do business and then how we also do logistics. And in the forwarding industry, where one of our divisions operates in DHL Global Forwarding, for those of you who have experience in forwarding, it's a industry that's very much built on relationships. But there we did a survey with our customers last year where we asked them, how digital do you want our services to be? And 83% of our customers said that they demand more digital services from DHL. So that's given us more and more reasons to innovate. So the real question is, how do we actually prepare for a digital future, and how do we prepare for a digital future of logistics? And while I can't provide all the answers to you today or tailor it for Panama specifically, I can give you some examples of how we're trying to do this across DHL globally as well as here in the Americas, and then hopefully we can also find an approach that works here in Panama. So one of the ways that we're trying to really understand and also drive the future of logistics is through what we call our customer-centric innovation approach. So back to my second slide, which is all about disruption happens with unhappy customers. We're trying to understand through our innovation centers what are our customers' current challenges, what are their needs, as well as what are some of the future trends in their industries and their sectors that we need to be aware of. And the way we've gone about kind of materializing our customer-centric innovation approach is through our physical innovation centers. So innovation centers, we have one in Germany, we have one in Singapore, and we're currently building one in Chicago, which is where I'm based and responsible for. Our innovation centers provide us a physical platform for us to engage with our customers and our partners on discussing the future of logistics. So what you can imagine the innovation centers to look like, it's basically a physical facility that has all of the different trends and innovations happening in the industry under one roof. So as a big company, DHL, we operate in 220 countries, 500,000 employees. There's a lot of innovation and a lot of knowledge happening across the company. By having an innovation center that serves as a hub, our Chicago center is going to serve as the hub for the Americas region. We're able to drive transparency on what's happening across the region in terms of digitalization and innovation. And we're also able to drive very targeted discussions with select customers and partners on innovation in their supply chain. So our other two centers, we have over 11,000 of our customers and supply chain professionals visiting us every year to share their feedback, to discuss with us on what the future of logistics might look like. And as you can see there, it's not just a center that's full of PowerPoints. It's really a center where we're able to give an interactive experience on some of these innovations that I'm going to be speaking about today. So we have the latest robotics that we're implementing there for our customers to see and potentially adopt. We have some of the latest VR solutions that we're driving across our business there for you to also try out. And then lastly, we also have a lot of the different innovation insights as well as visions for the future of logistics there to really spark inspiration for innovation. So we don't just also internalize the insights that we collect from these 11,000 visitors. We have now 11,000 voices of the customer essentially, but we truly believe that innovation, especially in an industry that has so many different partners and players, can only be driven in a partnership approach. So what we do every 1.5 years is we take the input that we receive from our customers and partners and we actually publish this in the industry through a tool that we call our Logistics Trend Radar. So the Logistics Trend Radar, it's a tool that we publish every 1.5 years, or update it rather. It captures the top 20 to 28 different trends that we see being relevant for our industry in the next 5 to 10 years. So the Trend Radar, on the right-hand side, you see all of the different technologies that we believe will be relevant for the logistics industry. And on the left-hand side, we see all of the different social and business trends, such as, for example, omni-channel that was mentioned here early on stage. We see green energy, the need for more sustainable logistics solutions as one trend that we put on the radar. So what this gives us essentially is now a 360-degree view of all of the different things that could become relevant and very important for DHL as well as for the industry. And we use the Trend Radar to then select specific topics that are going to be most relevant for a specific supply chain, and we drive and develop roadmaps as well as initiatives behind the Trend Radar. So it's really the foundation for innovation at DHL, but also that of our partners and customers, so we do a lot of these workshops together. But if you'd like to take a look at the Trend Radar, feel free to go online and look it up. It's actually the second most downloaded document that we have on the DHL website. So the Trend Radar gives us this foundation, and as I mentioned, as a team, as an innovation team, we then select certain trends to do deep dives. So on a topic like robotics, for example, it sits currently on the high in the 5-year spectrum on the radar, meaning that we believe that robotics will be a fundamentally key trend for the industry, and that it will fundamentally reshape the way that logistics has been done for the last hundreds of years. We also see that robotics is within the 5-year time frame, meaning that just in the next 5 years, we're going to see a significant amount of change happening in adoption of robotics. And in 2016, what we did was we actually started looking into the topic of robotics for the logistics industry, looking at what is the current situation in the industry. And what we saw back then was a lot of the processes that we do today are highly manual, highly repetitive, as well as highly physically intensive. And what we're looking at when we talk about robotics and automation is not a one-to-one replication of a robot and a person. We're really looking at the ways that robots can be best utilized in an operation that drives efficiency, that drives better health and safety practices, as well as also higher levels of employee engagement. And just to give you one example, this has been one of our largest robotics implementations to date. We started this journey back in 2016 with one of our customers who told us that they have a need for faster fulfillment in their warehouse. And we couldn't do this faster fulfillment just by hiring more and more people. We had to find some sort of solution that would enable us to pick these products and ship it out faster. And we partnered with a company called Locus Robotics. They're actually a startup based in Boston, and they've created these swarm intelligence robots that basically enable an order picker to stay within one aisle of a warehouse. And these robots actually are integrated with the back-end system, with the WMS, so that it arrives exactly where it needs the product to be placed. And you, as the order picker, only go to the location where the robot is at and place the products in there. So we have over 100 of these robots implemented under one warehouse. And we're currently in the process of scaling it across our different warehouses in North America as well as Europe. But what's really great, again, about these solutions is that it's not just a fancy robot in a warehouse. It's something that our customers needed. It's business case driven. And most importantly, our employees, if you talk to any of them, they'll say it made their lives much easier and much better than pushing around carts and using RF guns or paper. That's the worst. Other solutions that we're looking at are all sorts of collaborative robotic solutions. So solutions that will enable us to increase efficiency again, but in one specific application are robots that are able to automate the large walking distances that we currently have in our operations. So this is just one solution that we've been piloting as well as now implementing in several sites, but there are many other such robotics companies now on the market doing the same or similar activities. So it's a robot that's able to wirelessly follow a worker, whether they're in a warehouse or whether they're in some other hub, that's able to take on over 300 kilograms worth of freight and tug 600 kilograms behind it wirelessly. So it basically just follows the shape of your legs. For the employee, that means that they don't have to push around these heavy carts any longer. It just improves the ergonomics and also increases productivity. So other solutions and similar solutions where we've deployed this, we're seeing for a single employee that the walking distances that they do every single day in a warehouse decreases from anything from 13 to 20 kilometers a day. So you can actually see some of the benefits that this brings to our workforce. This is just one example, but on the trend radar, as I mentioned, it's not just about robotics. It's still something that's emerging. There are more and more solutions coming to the market. It will definitely play a role in the logistics landscape and replace certain activities that we do, but there are also many other areas where it won't. Other solutions that we've been now piloting and implementing is augmented reality. So back in 2014, we partnered early on with Google and some other startups in this space to develop a solution that enables hands-free operations in logistics. At the time, there was actually no information online on the internet or any other case studies that actually showed what the benefits could be. But together with our customer, Ricoh, and other partners, we believe that by using these smart glasses, we should technically drive productivity because your hands are free while you're doing the order picking process. So we started with our first proof of concept back in 2015 with very early prototypes from Google. It was actually the consumer Google Glass device. And we put it into our operations in the Netherlands. This is actually Ricoh's operations that we run for them. And we saw and achieved actually a 25% productivity increase. From this pilot, we then actually saw again the benefits for operations, but for our employees. And we invested heavily into this technology, integrating it again with our back-end systems, our strategic WMS partners, so that other customers of ours who want faster picking, better productivity in their warehouses can much quickly, faster implement vision picking as a new form of order picking in a warehouse. And I'm proud to say from 2015, we've gone through a number of iterations on the hardware, on the software with our partners, and now we're finally in a phase of implementing this in many of our operations across North America. The most recent operation we've implemented this is with Pfizer in the US, where we have double-digit productivity increasements compared to RF. Other ways that we're looking at solving challenges is not just only through our customers, it's also through hearing the voice of our employees. I've mentioned that over and over again because I truly think that technology can actually aid a lot of the employees that we have across our business, which is very important to us. So one example is in our Express division. They obviously employ a lot of workers that do a heavy handling of freight. And to increase health and safety processes, we've been piloting a wearable device which essentially attaches to the hip of a worker. And this device is able to track whether you are lifting and handling and twisting with the freight ergonomically and in a way that doesn't damage, for example, your back. And in the US, this is very important, especially just because of the cost of healthcare there, as well as also the impact to operations when you do have somebody that's injured. So here we've gone from a small proof of concept, the first of its kind in our business, or at least at DHL, and are scaling this at a couple of operations in the US at the moment to do a full impact study. But this is just another example of how you can look at not just the technology, but look at it from the bigger benefit of improving the lives of our employees and ultimately the service that we provide to our customers. We're also looking at other ways to drive efficiency. It's not just about the physical operations of picking. We're also looking holistically at how can we also engage our organization, how can we also do things differently, how can we also drive more efficiency in processes like training. And just to give you one example, we've been testing and now implementing virtual reality as a tool for us to increase employee engagement, but at the same time also to drive more operational compliance through these immersive trainings. So I'm not sure how many here in the room have tried virtual reality before, maybe a raise of hands? Not many? So VR, it's a really great experience. If you tried it on a few years ago, I strongly recommend to try it out today. because if you try something like Oculus Rift, which is a brand new product out on the market, it is completely immersive, so hyper-realistic, and we've been trialing a number of different use cases, one which is to train our employees on how to actually inspect a damaged container. So what do you need to be looking for? So you can actually walk around a virtual container and then spot the damages and get, gamified, you've got 10 out of 10 correct or 2 out of 10 correct. We're using it to also help them learn how to build up a pallet or build up a container efficiently. And that's just so much more immersive than, doing it via, an online training or through paper processes. And we believe that VR is something that holds a lot of promise for the logistics industry, where we all know that there are a lot of, knowledge in our brains, knowledge on paper, knowledge on systems, and utilizing a tool like this can drive a lot of efficiencies in training. And then last but not least, one of the biggest topics that we're investing into as a company together with our customers is the topic of artificial intelligence. So it's no longer just a buzzword, although in many instances it is being used as a buzzword, but machine learning and all of the benefits there, it's already being realized today. Artificial intelligence, it's helping us, as you see with robotics, to go from very manual processes to autonomous processes. It's helping us to go from planning with historical data and forecasting with historical data to predicting things before they even happen. And it's also enabling us to provide standardized services to very customized services and a customized experience for our customers. And just to give you one example of how we're utilizing AI in our business today, one product that actually came out of the Innovation Centers a few years ago, now adopted by over 80 customers at DHL, is Resilience 360. And it is a true big data analytics engine which captures all of the different data that might be relevant to your supply chain. So it collects weather data, it collects financial data, it collects operational data, it collects every single kind of data point imaginable, drives analytics to basically then overlay on the supply chain that we operate for you, which risk could happen, which risk could impact or disrupt your transportation, which kind of delays do we see foreseeable that might impact the rest of your supply chain, and we notify this to you via near real-time 24/7 alerts. So this is a tool that we're continuously investing into. You can't see it here in too much detail, but you can actually see some of the different risks that we're monitoring. So we're monitoring risks to aviation, to your cargo. We're looking at infrastructure risk, labor risk, as well as many others. And how this works is that we first do a consultation on your current supply chain. So we map, where do you have factories, where do you have your tier 1 suppliers, where do you have your warehouses, key trade lanes, and then once we've mapped your entire supply chain, we switch the platform on with all of this real-time risk data, and then through an exercise, we then try to understand how can we mitigate some of these risks. So if we do see that there's going to be a port strike in 3 weeks' time in Shenzhen, what is your strategy to actually mitigate that risk? Do you switch capacity? Do you switch lanes? So this is one tool that we really utilize, some of the cutting-edge machine learning that's talked about in the media in operations, driving real business impact. And one further development with this platform is we'll be also investing to integrate more live IoT data or sensor data to make things even more granular. So I think I'm out of time, which is perfect, because these are just some of the things that we're working on together with our customers and, more importantly, partners. But this is, a lot of the times easier said than done. It's been a 7-year journey to go from doing the first pilot with a startup to now a, established program in some of our divisions to drive innovation as a top-down priority. And what it really requires is you to embrace change, do things differently. Again, very much easier said than done. It also takes management to make digital a priority and the commitment that needs to be there in terms of resources and funding. But lastly, we're here as a global logistics leader to partner, to work together on shaping the industry together. So feel free to connect with me or my colleagues in the room today. Thank you.
Bueno, Gina Shun ha servido de preámbulo para el siguiente panel, porque el Panama Supply Chain se complace en presentar a 5 mujeres líderes, cada una especialista en diferentes.
Each one is specialist in the different areas of the supply chain because of their career path, knowledge, and professional career. They're going to be sharing with us today stories, solutions in leadership positions. They've changed the script for me, and they say that they are going to introduce themselves. They decide the time they're going to be speaking and going to establish their own dynamic. Strong applause. Women in the supply chain. Or women in supply chain. Hola a todos y bienvenidos a el panel de mujeres en logística. Yo estoy muy emocionada de estar aquí para dirigir este panel. Creo que el equipo aquí ha hecho un buen trabajo de tener mujeres que son fuertes, así que quiero felicitarlos por eso, porque esto en realidad es un logro bien grande. De modo que en nuestra próxima hora, creo que tenemos 1 hora o media hora. Tenemos 1 hora. Vamos a presentarles hablando sobre estas mujeres que están aquí en logística sobre
work-life balance. We really want to inspire you to not only inspire yourself, but maybe inspire somebody on your team that can benefit from some of the things that we're going to learn from you all today. Okay, so let's get started. My name is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey. I am the host of the Let's Talk Supply Chain podcast. I'm also the CEO of Ships, which is a technology company. And my passion is recognizing women in the industry and helping to give them a platform to talk about their journeys and talk about their stories so we can all learn from one another. So let's get to know each other. Okay. So Felisa, let's start with you. Can you tell us your name, title, and what you do for a living?
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Felisa Preciado Higgins, and I currently serve as an associate professor of supply chain management and also associate dean for undergraduate education at the Smil College of Business at Penn State. And I actually am a proud Panamanian from the Chiriquí province. And I'm excited and grateful to be counted among such great women this afternoon.
Great. Luz?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Luz Palma. I'm currently the supply chain manager for a company called Ace Hardware International. That's a retailer based in the U.S. I'm Panamanian too. I have been in logistics for almost 20 years. I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Demo, for the invitation. Hopefully, I can share some of the things I have learned with all of you.
Great. And Anna?
Hi, good afternoon. So happy to be here with all of you. My name is Ana Maria Rueda. I work for HP, and I'm business planning manager for logistics and supply chain. So my role is strategic planning for logistics and supply chain. I manage projects and metrics and all the things related to strategy from a supply chain point of view. I'm very close to Panama. I'm from Colombia. I'm based in Colombia, but I manage the American region.
My turn? Okay, hi, my name is Angie Lemos. I am the lead of the compliance and risk management team at Logistics Services Panama. Basically, after the sales and operation team develop a solution, our team review all the possible risks and implement mitigation activity to prevent those risks to become a real incident. So yes, I'm from Colón, from Panama. So.
All right.
So I am not from Panama, surprisingly. I am from Toronto, Canada, just so everybody knows.
Okay.
Canadians out there. So let's get started on our journeys. Let's talk a little bit about where you started, what your journey looked like, maybe a little bit about what you learned, on the way. Angie, did you want to start?
Yes, great. Okay, so my journey is very interesting because I started working when I was 18 years old in several franchise company, really basics jobs, but it really helped me to understand the importance of process and standards. So 10 years ago, I started in the company where I am today, and it was one of those moments that you can feel that you are doing something right and you are in the correct place. I wasn't sure why, but I was in the correct place. It's a company where the workforce is very important. It's the most important asset. So from there, I found my passion through security and safety, and it's very interesting. These past 10 years, I learned a lot. I have been continuing learning a lot of good practices, and that's have been a key factor for becoming the professional that I'm today.
So did you fall into supply chain, or how did that happen, logistics?
I fall. It was just a coincidence, as I was talking with my boss, as Tony Robbins says, life happened for me. Life is not just an adventure without sense. So I fall into logistics, into supply chain. I'm from Cologne, where the Cologne Free Trade Zone is located. But I didn't know that the type of business like that exists near to my house. So we receive a lot of students, high school students at the job, and for them it's very interesting, and it's very rewarding to hear from them, like 5 years later, that they study engineer and they want to work with us. So yes, I fall into supply chain and I love the industry.
Like most of us.
Yes.
I mean, that's not happening for the next generation, but I don't know about you, but I definitely fell into it. So what about you, Luz? Let's go to you next. What has your journey looked like?
Okay, I fall into supply chain too. As a lot of new graduates here, I studied in Universidad Tecnológica here. And before graduating, I haven't worked in anything, so I have no experience in anything. And I struggled like a year looking for a job. And suddenly there was this newspaper announcement about a sales job. And I was frankly desperate, so I went to the interview. And this nice lady, maybe someone in the audience know her, Miss Elba Carrizo. She told me, "You are not a salesperson, you are a supply chain person."
Wow.
And I said, "Well, if you said so, I want to work." So I started as a planner in Xerox. I was a planner for them, and then worked in warehousing, and then I moved to Black & Decker, and I started, I am more analytical, so I was planner jobs and such things. And I have moved into all the supply chain pipeline. So I have been planner, I have been warehouse manager, I have been supply chain manager, strategic, whatever you put it. In Ace Hardware, I do mostly strategic. We are working in e-commerce too. And they assigned that to supply chain, so I'm working in e-commerce now.
Of course they did.
Yes, they did. So it has been an interesting journey, and I think the most important thing is I have been, meeting in the path a lot of mentors and people that say you're good at this or you're good at that, and they have guided me, and that's the most important thing I have in my journey.
Amazing. I really like that. So Anna, what does your journey look like?
Well, I started 15 years ago in HP as an intern for 6 months, and in order management. Then I got hired after the 6 months, and I started my journey there. and it has been a great adventure. So I've been able to move to different areas inside HP. I think it's a great company that allows the people to grow. So I moved from order management, then I started the reverse logistics area for Latin America, and then I moved to finance. And I worked in finance for 2 years. And then I moved to Argentina, and then in Argentina I started working for the manufacturing in Brazil. And then I started working a lot of different projects, and then I fell into supply chain there. And came back to Colombia, and like also managing different supply chain projects for Americas. And now, like 3 years ago, I'm in the position where I am, like I'm working with Americas and managing different projects for Americas. So it has been a very exciting journey in this company, and I've learned a lot from many different persons, like many different teams, but I'm really excited about working in supply chain.
Yeah, and it's great that your company has allowed you to move into different departments and learn different things, learn what you like to do, what you don't like to do, maybe.
Exactly, yeah. And then even different countries, because like living in another country, I had this experience has been really amazing, so yes.
Great. And last but not least, Felisa.
Oh, I have a very, very weird kind of convoluted journey. I don't think that I went to supply chain. I think supply chain came to me.
I like it.
Seriously. I think I outnumber the number of years to my left here. So I won't tell you when was the first time I heard about supply chain, because I think it was, at the initial stages of the big, awakening. But I had previous experience in manufacturing, so I wasn't one of those, straight through the academic path. I worked in apparel and I worked in automotive before going to complete my doctorate. And it's funny because one day I just had been up all night working on a program for my research, and I was looking really bad, wearing yellow sweatpants, a yellow t-shirt, and I kid you not, a yellow bandana. I look like somebody who should have been in the street selling something, I don't know. But I actually met the group president of Latin American operations of Kimberly-Clark that day, and we had a very interesting conversation in the hallway for about half an hour, and that conversation ended. But then somehow, the conversation was recontinued 9 months later. And I said, you know what? I don't really want to continue just being an academic. I really want to go back to industry, get my feet wet. And he said, I know exactly what you need to be doing. And I became a supply chain senior specialist for Kimberly-Clark Latin America, which meant I was put in charge of, supply chain improvement projects in 18 different countries. So, I discovered supply chain through the School of Hard Knocks. I was an industrial engineer, and as great as we are at problem solving, I had to take a crash course in, finance and profit and loss and all these things that were not necessarily the primary goal when we were studying engineering. But, amazingly enough, I fell in love with it. I'm crazy about it. I think it was the Panamanian blood in me. But I just I literally love ports, by the way. And things evolved to the point that eventually I loved it so much that I had to share it with the rest of the world. And now I share it with the next generation of supply chain professionals as an educator.
Wow, that's a great journey as well. And so we've heard from most of you about mentors and how important they've been to your journey. I think that, for a lot of people, mentorship is either difficult to get, right? To find the right mentor. How do you find them? What does that look like? Does anybody want to comment on that? How did you find your mentor? What did they mean for you? How did you establish that relationship? Felisa?
Well, the first person that came to mind when you said that, I'm sorry that I can't remember her specific name, because it's been a long time. I've been alive for a long time. But I remember that we had a critical conversation. This panel is about women, and one thing that I hate to stereotype, but we tend to be very hard on ourselves. Women in general are more. Yes, we do, right? We're very critical of ourselves in a way that, the opposite gender sometimes, they tend to do the opposite, actually, But in all respect, in being very critical of ourselves, there was a point where my supply chain job across different countries in Latin America had me traveling quite a bit to visit sites, to visit plants and distribution centers. And there were some conversations that I used to hear, like male colleagues saying, oh, if you were my wife, I wouldn't let you be traveling all the time. But things like that started making me develop this guilt about not being there for my family. And I shared that with this person who was the director of feminine care products for all of the Andean region. And, she told me something that I never forgot, because she immediately noticed the way I was expressing myself, that I was carrying this guilt. And she told me that I had absolutely nothing to feel guilty about, and that the focus, because she actually traveled more than I did, said that her focus with her family was not in the quantity of days, that she spent with them, but then she made sure that when she was there for them, she was there for them, and the quality of the time she spent, and that, what she did was she was setting an example for her children, especially her daughters, and that was nothing to feel guilty or bad about. And, I took that with me, and I have carried it for decades now, and it's something I appreciated, having another woman tell me that.
That is some great advice, because I think that we could probably all agree that in some form or another we do carry that guilt, whether it's about family or other priorities that we have. Luz, you also spoke about a mentor and that you've had lots of mentors along the way. What did that mean to you? How did you find your mentors?
Yes, when you're young, you basically, and I see now in my team members, you really don't know what you want, right? And you have fantasies about, for example, I have some team members that say, I want to work in a warehouse. It seems so exciting. I was like, you don't know what you're talking about, right? It is, and I found a lady too. She was one of my bosses in Xerox. She always was pushing me. I turned to be kind of introvert, and I was happy with my Excel spreadsheets and doing planning. And she did things like sending me to travel. She gave me projects. She was not like mentoring me by sitting with me and teaching me things, but she was like pushing me. And every time I said to her, like, I can't do this, I have no experience, I am the youngest, they look at me as like an alien, you don't know what you're talking about. She'd say, I don't care, you have to do it. Yeah. So she was very, very, very strong woman, and I learned from her. It's not like she sit with me and she coached me. She was more like being an example for me and pushing me. And every time I was kind of, letting myself down, feeling guilty or anything, she said, she was hard. She was this kind of things like hard with me, like, don't get whining here. I don't want whining persons here. Go and do the thing. And I appreciate that now, because that push is what got me where I am now.
Well, I think whether female or male, we all need a little bit of a push sometimes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so mentors are really good.
Yes,
at doing that.
and sometimes we as women, I think if we try to be this mother-like with our team members. And I remember her every time, and I say, no, I don't have to be like too soft, because they are not my kids. They are my team members.
Yeah.
So I have to work that. But it's something I learned from her. And I also have good male mentors. One of my former bosses in ACE, he is this guy that he just teach you, and I appreciate that.
That's great. So now I'm going to pose another question to Anna and Angie. Can you give us an example of maybe some challenges you faced as a woman in logistics, and maybe how you've overcome them?
Well, I think it's more like I've had the fortune to work in a company that has a lot of diversity.
Right.
So inside the company, I've felt like a lot of support in many things. But when you are going to other cultures or other countries, you face that that kind of difficulties, especially in cultures like where women are not really in leadership positions, right? So I think that two examples of that has been I started working with China in all the projects that we had, like setting up processes in the region with the manufacturers, and leading projects with people there has been tough because it's not easy to be a woman, and then and when you are managing a project, you are not like the boss of the people that you are managing, right? So you need to lead in a different way, and you need to build the confidence in that people that is used to have leaders, like men as leaders. So I think that China, working with China, has been a very big challenge, and I think it has. You need to build the trust during the time that you are working with them. You need to understand what the culture is. You need to adapt to the culture, and even in Latin America, you can see that. I think, for example, Mexico is a country where you don't see a lot of women in leadership positions, so it's very difficult to get into to work with the teams and lead teams that are mainly composed by men. But I think that you need to build the trust. You need to do what you said you are going to do, and that is I think it's important to build that trust in the people. But I think culturally has been the most challenges that I faced. Mm-hmm.
Well, and be confident in your abilities and
right,
what you're
that's
bringing
true.
to the table,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that makes a big difference
Mm-hmm.
in how we are perceived sometimes in the room, right? Giving our thoughts and ideas and different things like that without being overlooked.
Exactly, and also you don't need to be rude. It's the way that you treat people to you. So you need to understand how you don't need to be rude. You don't need to have a strong position. When you are able to listen and understand and work as a team, it's easier to manage all those kind of challenges. So yeah.
Absolutely, that was great. What about you, Angie?
Well, as a woman, as an Afro-descendant woman, you have to overcome some obstacles due to prejudgment that society have from us, that maybe we are not going to be present or we are not good leaders. And for me, I was confident. I'm always confident in myself. I performed the activities that I'm responsible with outstanding results. I have to support my results on actions. And whatever I said that I'm going to do, I have to do it. I have to be consequent. I have to be true to myself in order for others to take me serious, respect my opinion. And as Anna mentioned, I have the blessing to be in a group of companies that women are respected. We don't see the type of stuff that we saw in the Me Too movement. I haven't experienced that in supply chain industry, so that's very important for me, the dignity and the respect that we receive as a woman.
How did you build that confidence? Have you just always had it, or did you have to work on it?
My mom is a very tough lady.
Okay.
My mom, since I was a little girl, she always told me, don't settle. You have to be extraordinary. You are extraordinary. You cannot be a mediocre person. Mm-hmm. So even though I didn't have it when I was little, she was continuously repeating to me, you can do it. You have to look at yourself in the mirror. So that's something that I still do. And with my kids, I do the same thing.
I do it too. Mm-hmm. Look in the mirror, you got to tell yourself sometimes, because nobody else is going to tell you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's talk about maybe the toughest decision you've made on your journey, right? Life is made up of choices. We all have choices to make on a daily basis, and we all have choices to make in our careers. Sometimes we jump from one company to another for different reasons. Sometimes we move countries. What has been maybe the biggest risk or the toughest decision that you've made in your career, and how did you make that decision, right? I think that it's one thing to talk about the decisions that you've made, but it's another one to really say, how did you make that decision? So you're really thinking about this hard. So I'm going to start with you, Felicia.
With me, okay. Well, the first thing that comes to mind as I reflect on that question was a crucial moment, and it relates to what I said before. This was not motivated out of guilt, but out of really coming to the realization of what I wanted my priorities to be. But when I had been already with the company for a little over 6 years, almost 6.5 years, I came back from a trip. I want to say probably was Argentina, somewhere in South America. I came back, and at that point I was traveling every other week, and I was gone for about 4 to 5 days a week. And I come, and I have 3 daughters, 2 of them are twins, and my twin, which was just about 13, 14 months old, is standing in the living room a few minutes after I arrived from the airport, and she fell, and I was right in front of her. And what any baby does when they fall and they start crying and they feel hurt, who do they look for?
Mom.
For mom. Yes, and I was standing in front of her. You know what she did? She didn't come to me. Who do you think she went for?
The dad.
The lady that was taking care of her. So before you think, I was just being jealous, no, I was actually, on one side, that was a great sign that this woman was doing a fantastic job of taking care of my daughter, right? And I should be grateful for that because I was traveling and I could trust her to take care of her. But it was a watershed moment for me in the sense that, my daughter no longer recognizes me as the person who is her primary provider of comfort. And I said, where is that coming from? And I realized that at that particular point, it was more important to me, and mind you, my career was going really well. I was getting ready actually to make my next move. And I was living in Panama at the time. I had returned from the US to Panama. I was loving life in Panama City and all of that. But then I decided, it's time for a change. And it happened that I was in the middle of a research project with Penn State. And I won't give you the numbers, but it was a major pay cut. So I was, financially sound, living in Panama with all my family, all my friends. But I made the decision to switch gears in my career so that I could focus more on my children at a very critical juncture. And that was not an easy decision to make because I really love the hustle. I really like, getting to know people in different countries and solving problems. And I just decided I'm going to solve a different kind of problem, but I'm going to focus my priority at that moment in my family. And that's a decision that was not easy, but I think I made it for all the right reasons.
Absolutely. That sounds like a very, very tough one, right? You would have had to do the pros and cons, I think, maybe a couple times for that one. What about you, Angie? What's one of the toughest decisions or any big risks that you took in your career, and how did you come to that decision?
Well, I think that free myself from fear.
Okay.
We have several fears or things that we don't want to happen, and living my life as a professional, as a mother, forgetting those fears because that was holding me back. That's one of the decisions that I have to just trust in my guts and do what I had to do. And for me also have been difficult, let people go. I really believe in helping my team to grow, but sometimes you have to let them go. Sometimes if you are driven to results, you want to be a good leader, but being a good leader is also recognizing that You have done everything, and that's, for me, is difficult because I believe in people. I want people to be, to grow, to be successful, and that's, the first time was difficult. Now I try to do everything that I can, but sometimes it's not possible.
Well, we're nurturers.
Yes. Yes.
Right? At heart. So that is definitely something to overcome for us specifically. So what about you, Luz? Any risks, any tough decisions you had to make?
I was sent from one of the companies I was working to Mexico for a project for 6 months. And I knew that the project result would be a big laid-off on a lot of people there. So let's say that starting, I was very popular. At the end, I have to take my lunch on my own. It was like the bad kid. And it was really hard, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do. And the last 2 months, when people start, acknowledging what you were doing, oh my gosh, it was really hard for me. It was hard for their bosses. It was hard for everyone. I had to, the project at the end, the process review resulted in almost 50 persons, so that they have to reduce. And it was really, tough time. I was a lot of stress because, people have family, people have their lives. Some of them has 10, 15 years working with the company. But there was a leadership decision, and someone has to do it.
So how did you make the decision to decide to go to Mexico for 6 months? Because I'm sure you left all of your family.
Yes.
And, 6 months is a long time.
Yes, I lived 6 months in an hotel. I don't recommend that to anyone. and
Bless your heart.
I made the decision because it was, at the end, it was a good project. The results maybe were not, let's say, in a friend or a human way, it was great. But we did some AI, we did some tech improvement, and I learned a lot. Yeah, and I tried that the decisions that we took were as, considering people, their jobs, their families, and everything. But I saw it as a great opportunity to learn. It gave me a lot of stress. I won't lie about it. But at the end, I learned a lot. And I think that's something I really appreciate from that.
Absolutely, and it's something that you want to take with you from a tough
Yes,
decision.
and it was something in my bucket list to live in another country, and I decided I like Panama more.
I was going to ask you, would you do it again?
Mexico is a nice place. It has a lot of bad press, but Mexico City is a nice place. I would recommend the hotel thing. I will do again, but living in my own place.
Okay, so we're going to get the audience involved now. Just so everybody knows, this is an interactive session. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand. But I want to ask you, we've spoken a lot about being moms, the work-life balance. You've really touched on that. But do you think, by a show of hands, do you think that there is such thing as work-life balance?
No.
No?
No. No.
Only a few of you? All right, a couple. Most people don't think that work-life, okay. So what do you think about that? Do you think that work-life balance is possible, and how do you do it? You want to go ahead, Felisa?
I want to say that in the world that we are living today, and regardless of how much gray hair you have on your head, we have all been millennialized. The millennials, we talk about them, but we have become pretty much like them. And I know, Terry, you were mentioning earlier about checking our phones and doing all that. Why do I say that? Because I think that we have evolved from work-life balance to work-life integration, actually. Like, how many of you answer your work email at home before you go to bed or dinner, or you are answering a work-related subject on your phone.
Nobody has their hands up, but I'm pretty sure it's 90% of people in this room.
I have a strong suspicion that, you know, some people might be withholding that very close to their vest, but I have been guilty of, you know, doing dishes, grab the phone. Oh, I just got an email from one of my directors. Let me respond to that. Yes, here's your... I have actually forwarded requests from students at 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, when you said people pick up their phone, they see the light on and they go, in bed, like drool and everything. And I'm forwarding student requests at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I think that the line between work and life has almost disappeared now. And we don't really leave the office, even if we're away from the office. Right. So I think that now I tend to think more about how we're integrating our work lives and our personal lives in ways that the lines are so blurry.
Yeah, and I think you're right about that. But I think it stresses the importance of loving what you do.
Yes.
Yeah. So that it doesn't really feel like work, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then you also mentioned quality, right? Yeah. Quality of time. So actually being present and spending that time with the people that you're with at that time. Mm-hmm. So what about you, Anna?
Yeah, so I think it's a personal decision. At the end, like if you love what you do, like you can balance better like the personal life and professional life. And the other thing is that you need to use the tools that you have. So you have a team, so you need to build a team that is like ready to support, that you can balance all the loads between the team. You need to use the tools that you have and really like make it work for the team. And the other thing is that, yeah, you need to enjoy what you do, like at the end, and that keeps you like balance. And the other thing is, I think that you need to see the things in a more simple way. I think that sometimes we make things more complex of what really are. So if you start thinking in things in a more simple way, you can make the work easier for all the team and ensuring that all has different like activities additional to the work, and that you can build also as a lead that space also between the team. So you need to give example to your team also for them to have that balance. But I think it's a personal decision. That's something that you can do.
So then, as a leader, how do you portray work-life balance with your team then? Do you have, because I mean we can get into remote, right? Because we've got now remote workplaces, people are working more remotely. How do you do that at HP? How do you lead your team and help them have a good work-life balance?
Well, I think one important thing has been emails. I think that we are used to to emails for everything. So if you want to ask something in 3 words, you need to send an email. And that's something we have been working on. So no emails, more phone calls. So that saves a lot of time. And we have a work-life balance program in the team. So so we have 1 day per month. We enjoy an activity together. So we have Fridays are no meetings at all. So we don't have meetings on Fridays.
How do I get that?
Yeah, because that day, like the day that the team works in the morning, and then in the afternoon they can do something like they can enjoy. They can leave a little earlier, and so yeah, we have a program where they have been like each of the team members has been proposing things for work-life balance, and we have every quarter we have a full day activity out of the office, so we go hiking or something like that. So I think that has helped a lot, and it motivates the team to do that in a personal way too. But I think one important thing, the emails have been a really key thing. So talk more, like have more meetings and less emails has been really helpful in the work-life balance.
Well, I think we have to get rid of emails anyways, because I think the next generation doesn't even know what an email is. They're kind of using Snapchat.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're going to do at that point, but yeah. So since you have that program, I have one more question for you, because the last time I did a Woman in Logistics or Woman in Procurement panel, I had a couple of gentlemen come up to me and talk to me about paternity leave, and that we don't talk enough about maternity leave versus paternity leave and helping everybody feel comfortable with that. So what do you have? Do you have a program for maternity and paternity leave?
So, like in most Latin American countries, you have the maternity leave period and the paternity leave. So yeah, we respect that totally, and we build like support teams, and that's what I was telling about, like building a team that can support each other, right? So if we know that someone will be out, and it depends, because in the countries you have leave of 4 months or 3 months, even 6 months. I think Argentina has 6 months. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. So, but you need to build a team that is willing to support each other. So we have a very good backup plan, and they can live without guilt. I think that's just one of the things. Guilt and not afraid of losing your job when you're back.
And not being afraid to ask for it.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think on both sides of the fence, I mean, maternity leave is kind of a given, but for paternity leave, it's a little bit more difficult, I think, to ask for. But as long as you, bless you, as long as you have the environment for them to feel comfortable with that, I think that's great.
Yeah, they trust the team and they trust their leader, right? That they can come back and continue with their works, and that they can take that time without feeling bad.
What about you, Luz? What about work-life balance? What does that look like? How do you lead your teams to have, more of that balanced lifestyle?
I think it depends on let's say the time of the year. There are times of the year that you have to, work more hours because there's a deadline, there's a project, there's a board meeting presentation that you have to do. But we try to follow up the processes, and that people understand things like Anna says, like, please talk to each other, or talk to your colleagues, because sometimes you have 10 emails from the same subject, and the last they involve you as the leader, and you have no idea what they're talking about, right? So it is a lot of talk to each other, communication. In ACE, we tried to have, the team, we have summer program that means that they can leave early on Fridays. We have activities, and we encourage the environment that we push the people to leave early. I
need to live here.
Yes.
I want to leave early.
Yes. Yes, because some of the things, like, and at the beginning, when I started working there, I felt guilty when I left at 5, because everyone was sitting down at 5, 6, 7, 8, and I was like, no, I'm tired. I want to leave. I want to be with my family. I want to do things. So we learned to rely. There are things that can wait tomorrow. There are things that can wait tomorrow. So you have to learn that. And you have to be aware that some days you have to stay late because there's something we knew we have to do. That's the thing.
But you're aware of it and you recognize it and
Yes.
do things in lieu of that.
Yes.
Well, I know emails are, a pretty big obstacle sometimes, right? We're checking them at home, we're
Yes.
checking them at work. Sometimes we get 400 a day. I mean,
Emails
it
and
can
Skype.
get kind of crazy.
Skype too, and the WhatsApp.
And all the messages,
Yes.
right? Just messaging in general, I think, is a bit
Stop
overwhelming.
chatting me.
But somebody actually told me recently about work-life balance and not sending emails on the weekend.
Yes.
Because if you send an email to somebody on a Saturday or Sunday, they feel compelled to answer you. So more about scheduling that email to go out maybe Monday morning.
Yes.
So you can do it in your own time. Like you can write it on the weekend, but schedule to send it out, because I think that sometimes we push our workload on somebody else, not realizing that we're impacting their work-life balance as well.
Yes.
So just something that came up for me recently as something that I could do to really help with not only my work-life balance, like doing it when I needed to do it, but helping realize somebody else's as well.
Yeah, and you are the boss. They're going to answer, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't really want them to answer on a Saturday or Sunday. Really?
Yes.
I didn't realize what I was doing by sending out an email on a Saturday or Sunday. Right? It's about recognizing and being intentional on that side. What about you, Angie? Work-life balance for you, what does that look like?
I believe that is possible. It's very important to have a team that have their responsibilities really clear. The collaboration is very important. I try to not send emails on weekends because the people will take the time and answer you. So for me, it's very important, my family. So I want them to be really focused on their job during job hours, work hours, but I also like to respect their time with their family. Sometimes we have something that is not normal, is something that we need to quickly respond. So most of our team are all really committed to our customer satisfactions. So we don't have any problem with that. For me, it's very important trying to have even me time, my time. You have to be a little bit selfish because you cannot have that many responsibilities. You are a professional, you're a mother, you're a wife, you're a daughter, you're a this, and this sometimes could be overwhelming. So I'm very disciplined with my schedule. I try to have my time for the things that I like, and for me to be happy and give my better version every day for everyone around me. So for me, it's possible to have that balance.
Yeah, and you've got to give yourself permission,
Yes.
but you've got to take time to do it because it really does affect everybody else around you.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not doing well, everything else sort of crumbles. And that goes for both genders, I think,
Yep.
whether you're a female or a male.
Yep. Yeah.
So let's talk about the next generation. I think this one's going to get you excited. Supply chain, for a lot of us in the audience, I think we fell into it. I know I did. We talked about this earlier. And I think that the next generation is really looking at supply chain as a career path, right? They're looking at it in different ways. I had a conversation with a woman in supply chain out of Singapore. I'm pretty sure it was Singapore. And actually, she works for HP in Singapore.
Oh.
And she was saying that she changed into supply chain management. And when she was looking at warehousing, they were telling her to design a warehouse.
Wow.
And she thought of it as an interior design job. Right? Like, that is not something that I would have ever put together. But the next generation, like Terry and I spoke about this morning, is thinking about the impact. Yeah. How they can use their creative, their strategic brains to really bring to supply chain and the impact that they're making on everyday lives. So what is some of that advice? I'm going to ask twofold. One is to the leadership for us to be able to entice the next generation to come into supply chain and embrace it. And the other one is just advice in general, maybe to women that are looking to get into supply chain. What would some of that advice be? I know that was a long-winded question, but I think we can hopefully incite some discussion on this. And if anybody has any questions, please raise your hand and we will get to you. I'm going to let them answer first and then I'll come back to you. So, Anna, did you want to start with this one? What's some advice that you would give them?
I think that you need to be open, like you have an open mind when you are facing a challenge. And you need to embrace change. I think it's the most important thing, that nothing is static in logistics or supply chain. So you need to be willing to think different, to embrace technology, to try new things, and not to fear about like trying something new, and ensuring that you motivate the change in your teams, that you are open to all these new technologies. And that you as a leader is willing to lead that change, right? And that you are like has this open mind to ensure that things get done in the way that they should. Like nothing is like there are no perfect decisions in this journey. So you make decisions that you just need to stick to it and make the best of that decision. But I think that that's the best advice I can give. Like embrace change and be open to the new things that are coming, try new things, and face all the challenges as totally new, so you can think out of the box every time you are facing something new.
And as leaders, provide that opportunity for them to be
Yeah,
able to learn
open, exactly.
what they want to be doing versus
Right.
what they don't want to be doing, because you'll get the most out.
Yes,
of
and
them,
I think it's
right?
yeah, and that's why like my style is not micromanagement, but that gives people like the freedom to think also and to do something, to propose. And I think in supply chain it's very important to have that interaction, that feedback. So yeah.
Felisa, I know you want to weigh in on this one.
All right. Okay, I'll take the first and the second question in two separate answers. On the first question about the next generation, I think that one thing that's really important is that we provide opportunity for early exposure through early interventions, meaning, you know, whether industry, I know we have a lot of wonderful representatives from industry, from the public sector and the academic sector, that we create opportunities for young kids as young as elementary school or primer ciclo or secundaria, you know, to come and either maybe come for a tour and see what your company does in different areas of logistics, how you're using technology, or, you know, bring them in or go to them. If you are talking, you know, if I'm talking to my friends, my colleagues in the Tecnológica or other universities, you know, let's interact with the community so that the younger generation starts thinking about that this is an exciting field. It also can create this dialogue at home, because in my experience, even today, as prevalent as logistics is, there are still people who have no idea what their children are going to be doing if they pursue a career in logistics. I still have parents thinking that perhaps their kid is going to be driving a forklift in a warehouse, and I have to explain to them that this field is so broad and so expansive and growing in so many levels. There are opportunities along the supply chain of different kinds. So early exposure through early intervention. So please, if you have opportunities to open your doors for young people to come and visit, tour your facilities, getting to know you, you know, please don't turn down those opportunities. The second, as far as women, you know, I am so happy to just be in the same stage with these women and many of the women that I have met through the day today. But many of them I did not meet until today. How come? I don't know about the amazing thing these women are doing in logistics. So I think that we need to get excited about telling the stories of women who are leading in supply chain in ways that are visible, so that other women also see that, hey, you know what? This is something where I can belong, where I can contribute, where I can bring all my talent. So I think that we need to tell the amazing stories of women in supply chain, especially in the context of our beautiful Panama, in ways that makes it more visible to the women of the future in this field.
I completely agree with you on that one. So before we get to you guys, can we have your question? I don't know if there is a microphone anywhere. Can you project?
Sure. So my question is, based on your experience and the challenges you had to overcome early in your careers, I mean, what would be the recommendation to the leaders in this room, to company leaders, in order to make sure we coach and we encourage those women not only to be in the industry, just to work in the industry, but actually to get to the leadership positions you guys are in right now?
That is a great question. So it's what is the advice to the leadership in the room to really help bring women up along the ranks, I guess, in business? Who wants to take that one? Luz? Yeah.
I think here locally we have a lot of stereotypes, right? And I think one of the things we have to work in is challenging those stereotypes. And the only way is like companies have plans on how they're going to develop not only the women, but all the people that enter in the companies. You know, you get into the companies and they say, these are our SOPs, these are our processes, good luck, see you in 6 months, right? We have to have more plans. We have to develop people, and not all the managers, we don't have the time to do that, because especially in supply chain, you're a firefighter a whole day. So we have to take the time and take the goal to develop women and expose them, as you said, because sometimes we have a lot of girls in supply chain, but they are in the base positions. They are in customer service, they're in traffic, they are in the, planners, but it's still a guy's club, we can say that. So we have to fight against that, and the only way is to give them exposure, give them projects. You don't have to promote them. You can give projects, you can give them training, you can give one-on-one coaching, so they can have this exposure. And always, as I see some of my team, by themselves they have this stereotype on them, because we are raised like that. You are delicate, you are women, you don't shout, you don't do anything of that. So we have to fight against that. And we have to raise our daughters that way. And at the same time, the company, all the young girls that come, teach them that. You can do it. I think
you're right in having conversations, right?
Yes.
The conversations are really important, finding out what they're good at, what they're not good at, what they want to be doing, what they're passionate about.
Yes.
Right? I think it's super important.
Yes.
Especially with women.
Yeah.
And then it also means that you're putting them in the right roles as well, so that you're going to do better business that way as well. Anybody else want to weigh in on that one? Angie?
As Luz mentioned, the one-on-one coaching, the performance review, it's not having like special treatment, because that's something that we don't like either, and it's not good. As a woman, we don't want to feel like we have or we won certain position just because I'm a loving person, because the people love me. No. I want to be sure that I earn a position because I deserve it, because I have outstanding results, because I'm a good leader. And as leaders here, we need to ask ourselves, how many are you capable of creating other leaders? What are we doing? Is that something? How many leaders have you created being in a leadership position? And it's very important, just not only women, but workforce in general. How many high potential do you have on your team and you don't know? And you know what is the worst mistake as a leader? When you lose the talent. When you lose the talent and you find that the person that used to work with you and maybe you didn't notice now is very successful in another company, it makes you analyze yourself. It was something that you didn't pay attention, or it was something that, no, maybe that person wasn't happy in doing what you were let them do. But yes, it's not having a special treatment. It's being treated as equal. Because sometimes you have very really good employees, but depending here in Panama, sadly, if you're Afro-descendants, if you're indigenous, then you earn less money, and that's something that is not okay. As a leader, we need to review those aspects, because that's very important.
Any other questions? I think do I have about 5 minutes left? 5 minutes? Yeah. Do we have any other questions before? No? Yep. Sorry, I can't see you.
Okay. First of all, I want to congratulate you all, because I think you stand up, you have raised the level, and I want to thank you all for embracing this position. Now, regarding the question, I want to throw you a low ball, and it's basically what will be your advice to the local governments in order to make this supply chain game a bit better and try to make it more updated related to the future challenges that are coming.
Great.
Advice to the government.
Great question, and thank you for what you said. So the question is advice to the governments to really help with diversity, I guess you would say? Yeah, to augment the diversity. Luz or Anna?
Well, to the government. I think the government has to take out politics from the public policy. It's two different things. And we suffer for that forever. And that's something I think it's kind of fantasy land thing to do, but it's something we have to keep telling the government to take out politics from the supply chain policy from the, we need more education. We are very, very low in education level. When you try to hire good people, it's hard. Practically, you have to steal from other companies. And that's not good because there is a lot of talent out there. I think the government has to work in education, but in education in the way that, as Angie says, the people that has less opportunities has the opportunities that they are not having today. Also, take out politics and be aware that if we don't do something about it, we're going to be left behind.
And make sure you have the different voices at the table.
You have the different voices at the table, right. You're right. Yeah. And we are being left behind. There are other countries that are doing better than us. And when you work with these corporations and you want to sell your country as something, sometimes you can't. Because the bureaucracy, the customs, the systems, the poor workers that went in a strike, it is hard. So we have to sit down with the government and they have to listen to us.
So have the voices at the table, lead
Yes.
by example maybe,
Yes.
and
Yes,
talk
that's
more to frontline workers.
Yes.
To find out, what's working, maybe what's not working, especially if a lot of your economy is based on logistics and supply chain. It's a huge portion.
Yes. Yes.
That's
it is.
great advice. Anna, did you want to throw anything else?
No, I think it would be like lead by example is important. So more people, like more women also working in public positions. I think women have made a difference and we have seen in different countries where they, like when they have a leadership position in public sector, the women do great things. So I think that invest more in leadership programs in the country too, and helping the companies to make business easier. So that would allow the companies to bring more talent and more women into the market. So I think that's what is important. Mm-hmm.
Great. Well, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for joining me on the panel today. I think that your insights that you shared were invaluable. Great advice. Thank you to the audience for joining us today in this panel. And thank you.
Bueno, y gracias a ustedes por compartir sus experiencias, mujeres líderes. La foto, el registro de la foto. Muchísimas gracias. Bien, vamos a reiterar que gracias a nuestro patrocinador oficial United, estamos obsequiando un boleto a cualquier destino de Estados Unidos, Alaska, Canadá. Tiene vigencia por 1 año y pueden participar todos los asistentes. Ahí está la urna para que coloquen su tarjeta, pueden llenar papel. Solamente es para los asistentes, no el comité organizador, no la producción, ni tampoco los periodistas, ni el presentador. Así es que ahí está la urna, porque vamos a realizarlo al finalizar, es presencial. A continuación, nuestra relatoría a cargo de la doctora Zoila Castillo. Ella posee un doctorado en Ingeniería Industrial, es directora del Centro de Innovación e Investigación de Logística y Cadena de Abastecimiento, catedrática en la Universidad Tecnológica de Panamá. Vamos a recibir a la profesora Zoila Castillo con un fuerte aplauso.
Me dijeron solamente tiene 10 minutos y por favor hable rápido. Así que, porque nos estamos quedando sin público. Así que yo voy a ser rápida. Bien, empezamos con nuestro señor ministro consejero Rojas, donde nos dice que Panamá es un hub. Todos lo sabemos aquí, ¿verdad? Entonces no hay más que añadir allí. Luego, tuvimos la magnífica presentación de Terry Esper con una cadena de suministro centrada en el cliente, donde nos presentó las tendencias de visibilidad, y estas tendencias enfatizan la seguridad, la autenticidad, la integridad, y que también esto había que enfocarse en la precisión. Había que enfocarse también en la experiencia, porque el cliente está pensando siempre en la experiencia total. Así que nuestra cadena de suministro tiene que estar enfocada en el cliente. Luego vemos el panel de comercio electrónico en Panamá, y donde el señor Hernández, el señor Padrón y Raquel nos hablan sobre el rastreo, la visibilidad y la confirmación de las entregas, que es importante en el e-commerce. Adicional, Padrón nos dice que 70% que utiliza el móvil, solo el 28% realizan compras desde el móvil, y que hay una gran oportunidad. Raquel nos explicó de la manera más hermosa que ellos tienen de atender a sus clientes, que son regularmente pequeñas y medianas empresas, y cómo las van llevando hacia que logren sus oportunidades de comercio electrónico. Hay oportunidades de mejorar en aduana en el país y de facilitar este comercio electrónico. Ella dice que si no logramos articular y conectarnos en una comunidad digital donde la empresa privada, el público, la empresa pública, o sea, el gobierno y la academia se integren para lograr esto, nosotros no lo vamos a lograr. Así que tenemos que unirnos, y que Panamá es el número 1 en penetración en Instagram en Latinoamérica, por lo tanto es una oportunidad que hay que aprovechar, porque es el presente y el futuro del comercio electrónico. Alberto Picaramí nos presentó un case story de cómo agilizar los procesos con aplicaciones móviles, y pudimos ver que presentó un modelo de cultura de innovación, donde debe haber capacidades y principios, donde debe haber una metodología de procesos para gestionar un cambio y tener una visión de cambio, porque si no tenemos esa visión de innovación y de cambio, no sirve más nada hacer nada, porque necesitamos primero esa visión. Rafael Vázquez nos habla de toda esta transformación digital de la cadena de suministro, y nos habla de 4 elementos claves para lograr el éxito en la transformación de esta cadena de suministro: la estrategia, las personas, los procesos y la tecnología. Y coloca la tecnología de último, porque lo primero que debe haber es una estrategia digital en función del mercado y las fortalezas del negocio. Esta estrategia debe ser adaptable, moldeable, básica, visionaria, y debe tener flexibilidad, imprevisibilidad y complejidad. El elemento clave es el desarrollo de una cultura organizacional, o sea, las personas, con 3 elementos: un liderazgo digital, una democratización de la información y las ideas, una colaboración y sincronía y conectividad interna y externa, o sea, tener un networking decisioning. Luego, en proceso nos dice que hay un ciclo donde usted define cuál es el problema, define los criterios de decisión, luego prioriza, diseña las alternativas de solución, evalúa las alternativas, selecciona la mejor alternativa y ejecuta. Luego dice que cuando ya viene la parte de tecnología, usted diseña un gemelo digital de la cadena de suministro, para poder hacer las simulaciones y las optimizaciones y hacer los análisis de sensibilidad o what if, qué pasa si. Así que el objetivo común y global de toda la cadena de suministro debe estar unificada. Luis Martínez con SAP nos habla de que solo sobreviviremos si hacemos las cosas diferentes o hacemos diferentes cosas, y habla de todo su sistema de SAP, que el 70% de las transacciones del mundo se hacen a través de SAP, y que nosotros debemos tener soluciones geniales para diseñar, manufacturar, operar y integrar. Tenemos que llegar a innovaciones, a soluciones disruptivas. los datos, transformarlos en insights o descubrimientos, y a través de todo el sistema de digitalización nosotros podemos lograr mejoras en el crecimiento de ingresos, en cumplimiento de órdenes, en rotación de inventario, lead time y todos estos indicadores que nosotros tenemos en las cadenas de suministro. El señor Leandro Santos nos habla de que ellos tienen un sistema de Live Smarter con una compañía electrónica, y su misión es crear un mundo más conectado e inteligente. Utilizan el sistema de sincronía para el sistema de Zero Waste. También habló de que en los años 70 las fábricas se instalaban en países desarrollados con tecnología, y que en el 2010, como el objetivo era reducción de costo y mano de obra, todas se trasladaron a China, y que en el 2020, ¿cuál será la estrategia? Posiblemente entonces Panamá tenga un lugar allí donde ellos han tenido un centro de configuración final aquí desde hace 10 meses, y ellos creen que Panamá se puede convertir en un lugar donde se haga el ensamblaje final para cualquier producto. HP pues nos habló sobre la innovación que dirige los negocios, y nos habló de las 3C que utilizan como estrategia, que es reducción de costos, reducción de la huella de carbono y economía circular. La huella de carbono, que es economía circular, y luego habló sobre la tercera C, que es la experiencia del cliente. Y que todos sus resultados se basan en la experiencia del cliente. Gustavo nos habló de la red de ventanillas únicas y todo el trabajo que está haciendo Crimson Logic con la Alianza del Pacífico, y su malla en 3 dimensiones con blockchain, donde hacen la armonización de servicios, de comercio, finanzas, seguros, reclamos. Y luego entonces Jamie nos habla de todo lo que es los control towers para la cadena de suministro, y todas las características que deben tener que tienen estos control towers, su integración, y que habla de los beneficios que nos presenta toda esta control towers. Vimos también lo que era la experiencia de omnicanal, y cómo se debe llevar al cliente a la posibilidad de comprar donde, cuándo y como quiera, de manejar la misma información en todos sus canales, y también de mantener la personalidad coherente en todos los canales, y que todos los equipos estén fusionados. Hay que alinear los procesos. Luego vimos la presentación de Guillermo Facio con la trazabilidad en la salud pública, y nos presentó pues la intervención que ellos tuvieron y cómo ayudaron al Ministerio de Salud a través de la Oficina de Administración de Medicamentos para lograr la trazabilidad. O sea, aquí en Panamá nosotros hemos tenido casos donde nosotros sabemos que este ejemplo es muy útil para nosotros. O sea, no quiero ya mencionar pues los casos de dietilenglicol, de los bebés que le aplicaron un medicamento que no era, y esto ocurre regularmente en muchos países. Entonces, él pues nos presentó el caso de estudio donde ellos vieron, lograron la trazabilidad en la cadena de suministro a través de las herramientas de S1, que son de código de barras, QR y RFID. Vemos pues luego Gina de DHL nos presentó todo su centro de innovación en Chicago y todos los esfuerzos que ellos hacen para lograr innovación. Ella nos dijo pues que la disrupción empieza con un cliente insatisfecho. Como podemos ver a través de todas las conferencias, se hace énfasis en que el cliente demanda diferentes cosas y que ellos utilizan pues la inteligencia artificial para lograr resiliencia de 360 el 24/7. Luego utilizan la robótica y automatización para lograr un fast fulfillment luego Internet de las Cosas, también para el incrementar la seguridad y la salud de los trabajadores. Utilizan realidad aumentada con los lentes para poder lograr un picking, una visión de picking, y luego tener también las manos libres, y luego, perdón, realidad virtual para todo lo que es entrenamiento. Y luego en nuestro panel vimos pues a nuestras expositoras, cómo ellas nos conversaron sobre sus experiencias y cómo ellas nos dijeron que se deben crear las condiciones con los colaboradores para que tengan la capacidad de ascender, y que como mujeres es difícil crear un balance entre el trabajo y la vida familiar, pero se puede lograr a través de diferentes técnicas hoy en día, y que hoy en día pues la tecnología no hay un límite entre el trabajo y lo que hacemos en la casa, porque con las tecnologías nosotros podemos lograr ese balance. Y Sara pues nos dice que si tú haces lo que amas, no se ve como un trabajo. Así que ese es el resumen. ¿Algo más?
Muchísimas gracias, profesora, por ese compendio. Bien, vamos a recibir al señor Antonio García Prieto, presidente de COEL, el Consejo Empresarial Logístico, para la clausura, y posteriormente United hará la tómbola del pasajero. Recibimos entonces al presidente de COEL, Antonio García Prieto.
Bueno, buenas tardes a todos. Pareciera que el denominador común es el factor tiempo, ¿no? No quiero mencionarlo antes de que me llamen, pero sí voy a hacer lo más breve posible. Sé que ya todos pues hemos tenido una muy buena sesión en el día de hoy. Como presidente del Consejo Empresarial Logístico y auspiciadores de este evento, primero que todo quisiera felicitar y agradecer de manera muy especial a los organizadores y a los expositores de este evento. Y además quiero resaltar la calidad de los expositores. Hay tres cosas que me han gustado de este foro. Una es la calidad de los expositores. Dos, la calidad de los asistentes. Tres, que este evento orgullosamente lo han organizado dos expresidentes de COEL. Así que para lo cual pido un fuerte aplauso. Hoy hemos visto y aprendido cómo la cadena de suministros es la red de toda la actividad, de toda la actividad y recursos, la tecnología que ronda alrededor de los individuos, traducida en la creación, distribución y venta de un producto desde el suplidor al fabricante y a su vez al usuario final. Me queda claro que la tecnología está cambiando la interacción del ser humano y que está llamada también a ser el eslabón clave en la cadena de valor, pero además en la cadena digital. Panamá está en el camino correcto para crear y perfeccionar planes de acción que nos conduzcan a ser líderes de la innovación con estándares apropiados, estándares que nos permitan consolidarnos como un hub de talla mundial. Queremos también mencionar que en la línea de las diferentes facetas que hemos visto en el día de hoy, hemos podido observar cómo el blockchain, el e-commerce, la torre de control, la trazabilidad de los productos han sido básicos en el entendimiento del desarrollo de la tecnología. Por tal razón, nosotros hacemos un llamado al gobierno nacional y a la empresa privada para que apoyen iniciativas como estas, porque de tal suerte que Panamá pueda entender y conocer qué es lo que ocurre en el mundo exterior con estas actividades y digitalización de nuestros sistemas. Finalmente, quisiera decir que, sin duda, Panamá tiene el potencial necesario para ser líder en innovación. Entonces, unidos, pongámoslo a funcionar. Muchas gracias y Dios bendiga a Panamá.
Bueno, hemos llegado al final de este primer Panama Supply Forum y quisiera reconocer a esos dos expresidentes, expertos en logística, empresarios que tomaron la iniciativa, Demóstenes Pérez y Daniel Izaza, quienes han liderado todo este proyecto. Fuerte el aplauso para ellos. Vengan para que la gente les ponga rostro. Vamos acá para que les hagan la foto. Daniel y Demóstenes. No estaba en el guión, pero hay que reconocerlo porque se logró el éxito en esta primera edición, en convocatoria, en la calidad de los expositores, en la permanencia del público y, por supuesto, con el compromiso de que continúe el Panama Supply Chain. Felicidades. Bueno, ya está Melissa de Partner Score y está RG Ross de United. RG Roski es la gerente de ventas y marketing de United y va a ser la responsable. Vamos a hacerlo acá para que todos vean. Reiteramos, es un pasaje aéreo a cualquier destino de los Estados Unidos, Alaska y Canadá. Tiene vigencia por 1 año a partir de hoy. Oye, ellos tienen un buen sistema logístico, Payless. Romina Rivas Bey se encuentra con nosotros. Felicidades a Romina Rivas, ganadora de este pasaje aéreo por cortesía de United. En nombre del comité organizador del Panama Supply Chain Forum 2019, agradecemos su asistencia, los invitamos al cóctel y networking. Fue un honor compartir con ustedes. Feliz tarde.